yes, I'm sure we will be able to find.
All right.
Addresses.
I'm here,
The
finally.
other omission I noted, and not
Sorry, I'm a
necessarily
bit
your
late
fault,
this
is these
morning.
were stamped
Court's already
by our clerk of
started.
court, which is standard. I will direct my
Hope
clerk
everyone had a
with your
great
approval to put
weekend.
today's
And
date,
here we go.
for the date that these are all signed by the clerk of court's office. Okay, is that a yes?
Not quite sure what
I
they're
thought I saw you shake your head. Yes, I just
Yeah,
want to confirm
discussing
for the
in this
record. Okay.
I mean, it's just a lot
morning
of
housekeeping.
you know, that I expressed last week that I wasn't really sure how to.
But if you
get
remember,
done,
the
so whatever assistance
Friday ended with
greatly appreciated.
the
All right. So Madam
police
Clerk is
detective
directed to
direct
put in the date,
examination.
at the top.
Mr. Brooks is
left.
going to get
And
started
then what
with
I'll do is
his
I'll keep
cross-examination.
a copy for the
Morning,
court's
Static.
records, and then give you a copy, and then we'll give the originals to the state so they can look over them and then tell us if there's any issue with trying to get them served. But I need to get that to them this morning with your approval so they can let us know if there are any issues. Do you
I've been so frantic
agree to that, sir?
getting everything set up, I didn't even
I just
notice
gotta
the
put
suit.
dates in, correct?
Yes, yes. It would be fine if you did Friday morning. I mean, even if the state got done a little bit early on Thursday afternoon or something, and we, in theory, had time to call a witness, I'm happy to just go to the next morning so that it's clear.
Good
Just trying to
morning,
look at
Steve.
the time.
8:30.
Hopefully my internet's good this morning. I had to go Wi-Fi instead of the Ethernet connection, so
And then just let me
hopefully,
know when you're done so I can address a couple
in
of
the
other
words
issues.
of Artie's corporate fiction, I don't get Comcasted through the Wi-Fi, in spite of having Google Fiber. It's definitely good that he's in a suit. It looks a little big on him. I don't kink shame Static.
Do you have the preliminary jury instructions I can look at?
Like I said, sarcastic jerk. But that's why you carry me in your pocket.
So go ahead and make copies of those. If you tell me the number, I can also look that other thing up.
And as I said when I got in, but there was talking in the court. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Mine mostly restful. It's funny how much more tiring live streaming is than just watching a live stream.
Right. Well, Madam Clerk is copying those subpoenas so that the court has a copy.
They're
Mr. Brooks has a copy.
That's
and then the
right.
Originals go to
They mentioned
the
they
state
were going
review
to
and
figure out his
assist the service.
subpoenas
I do want to address
because his
Exhibit
witness list
6,
was due
which was
today.
previously received by the court.
This is the Exhibit 6 is the
6-minute
video.
squad cam and audio footage from Officer Phillips. As I advised last week, after I went back into chambers to review that, I
Camping
did note
can
Mr.
be
Brooks had
relaxing,
said,
but
I
there's a
may have
lot of
been a little bit
stress
off
at
on the
both ends
language
of it.
in terms of what Ms. Patterson is heard saying, but it's a pretty clear reference to one of the incidents that is the subject of
Most of my
a
camping
prohibition by this court
historically has been
related
done
to other acts.
along the
I
Snake
indicated I
River
would-
outside of
I was
Jackson
inclined
Hole.
to strike that exhibit.
My family
And
likes
so advise the jury,
rafting
but I would give the
that
parties
stretch
an
of the
opportunity
river.
if they had any
But due
arguments on
to
that to address that this
7
morning.
little
So,
kids
since the state
on this
offered it,
last trip
and there is
and
that violation,
my
I'll turn to the state.
parents in their 60s, we got an Airbnb.
First, I do offer my apologies to the court and to Mr. Brooks because the previous occasions where we had watched that video, we did not catch that. I think the
I
record
didn't catch
speak
that
for
watching the
itself, but,
video.
there was a lot going on in that video. As you had mentioned previously, the officer's radio was talking. You can hear the dispatcher, you can hear other officers.
This won't
and
be
you
grounds
can,
for appeal,
hear some
though.
people talking in the distance as well.
That's
So,
the first
we did
time that was
mistakenly
brought
include
up.
it.
His
However,
lawyers
that
didn't
being
bring it
said,
up.
Your Honor, I think it's a clear reference to the other acts only
And the
if you know
jury, I'm
there's
sure,
other
just like
acts.
us, wouldn't have
Truthfully,
heard
I think
it.
it's a vague and ambiguous statement. What I heard the statement to have been at about the 2:52 mark in the recording, I heard Miss Patterson say, "Me and my baby daddy, we fight all the time. We had an incident. He ran me over with a car." That's what I heard her to say. She does not say it happened in Milwaukee. She does not say it happened 3 weeks ago. She does not say I suffered a broken leg. To me, in the context of Miss Runkle's testimony last week, in which she testified that Mr. Brooks had swerved at Erica Patterson, and that Miss Runkle had pulled her out of the way.
That's
I
trying
don't
to run
think
her
the
over.
jury would have immediately thought Erica Patterson, when she made that statement, if they heard it, was referring to something weeks earlier in another county at another location. Really, the only thing objectionable about that whole quote I just issued would be the very last phrase, "He ran me over with a car." And again, if she's referring to the Milwaukee incident, it's not clear from that statement. I certainly understand
Nothing about
with
that
the
statement
knowledge
was clear.
of the Milwaukee incident, there's a reasonable interpretation. That's what she was talking about, but she may also have been talking about the events of November 21st, even to an objective standard on this record, Your Honor. I don't think the jury would have realized or appreciated she was talking about another incident. So I think the exhibit can stand as is. We could redact just, about a 2 or 3 second audio from that recording where those words are removed. And I listened to it several times over the weekend. I think if we did that, it would not be that obvious so that the exhibit could stand in place.
Once again, the defense had to have known about
the
this exhibit.
officer,
It would
if
have
you
been
recall,
available.
the timing is he's
They
getting
didn't
out of his
hear
car
it.
and he's
They
approaching
didn't
them.
object.
And she's making she makes that statement
So,
about he ran me over with a
It should
car.
be
But
waived.
then her very next
in
sentence is,
reality.
there's nothing happened, nothing's
They
going
just
on,
are
nothing
really
to be worried
trying to
about
avoid
here. And
An
she's
appeal.
essentially trying to convince the officer not to do anything. So again, I think that also supports our contention that if we strike the exhibit or we strike words from the exhibit, we may be calling undue attention to something that was very vanilla to this jury that they really wouldn't have thought twice about, given the testimony of Corey Runkle and Erica Patterson that was
Yep.
already on the record. So we would offer to redact that
Sometimes
portion if
objecting,
appropriate, but it may also be
even if it's an
appropriate just to
appropriate
leave it
objection,
stand as is.
might be a
And
bad
should they
idea
ever
because
ask to see that
sometimes
exhibit
the
again,
jurors
we
ears
would
will
prevent
perk
that from
up
being played a second
and they'll
time.
say, "Ooh,
Thank you.
they don't want me to hear this.
for
It
the
must be important."
positions.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious to me. I can only hear out of one ear, and I was able to hear clearly what was said. With all due respect, Your Honor, you made a ruling about this previously.
And you didn't object
ample enough time before the trial
previously.
even started. You made the ruling.
But you
I
didn't
see no
object to
reason
that
why
video.
the exhibit should be admitted into evidence. From my perspective, it's clearly obvious what was being referenced. I mean, if she was able to give any type of statement at that time to the officer, then obviously she wasn't hit at that time on that date on the 21st. She would clearly be referencing
And
some
you
other
didn't
incident.
object before the
Hence
video
the
came
reason
in.
why we argue all the time in this, that, and the third. It was clear to me what was being referenced, and because of the ruling, because of the implication in that statement, I believe the exhibit should be striked altogether.
Thank you for your position, Mr. Brooks. And the reason why last week I said I'm inclined
Redacting the
to strike
couple
it, but I
seconds
wanted to give the parties
makes
an
a lot more
opportunity
sense.
to review it over the weekend is in some respects because of what the state just said. There's information on that clip, at least from Ms. Patterson, that I didn't know if you wanted to come in or not, about nothing happened here, right? Those types of statements.
She's got a good
So
point.
that's why I give the parties a
Could-
chance to look it over.
parts of it
and
could
then
help
come back
him.
to court, and tell me what they want to do. So your position has
Not that
been
that
made
stops
clear. You
him from
believe
objecting.
it should be struck or stricken, as we say. And I agree
Or
with you,
striked,
Mr.
as
Brooks.
he
This
says.
court gave a very clear prior ruling related to other acts, and the state had an obligation to abide by that ruling. While I have options available to me, meaning I could redact it if the jury wants to hear it later on, my concern with redaction is it may possibly highlight that portion. We don't know whether any one of these jurors heard it and made a note about it. And that's certainly not something I'm going to ask them to reveal.
That calls attention to it.
And because of the violation, and even though there's other things going on, even though I could redact, I am going to strike this exhibit and so advise the jury. As far as advising the jury, I simply want to tell them the following when they come into court today. Is previously the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has stricken this exhibit, and the jury is to disregard anything it may have heard regarding what was on that exhibit.
That does call
Any
attention to it,
objection
though.
to that language from the state?
No,
How about from you, Mr. Brooks?
No.
All right, they've covered both of the issues I remember them holding over from last week. So I don't know if they have any other pre-trial housekeeping. Well, I should say morning housekeeping. It's no longer pre-trial.
All right, then
Or if they'll
You
call
know
the
what?
jury in.
last week I also had indicated I had asked the sheriff's department to prepare an incident report regarding one of the occasions Mr. Brooks was removed from the courtroom I've been advised it's been dictated.
Good morning,
and,
John.
I believe written. I haven't seen it yet, but I did follow up on that this morning. I believe I'll have it at some point today, and we'll turn that over to the parties.
In reference to the 6th, Thursday, October the 6th.
That was in reference to the incident where, if my memory is correct, where there was not about the COVID test, but about the needing you to sit down so that, I don't remember if you were over there or here or what, but they needed to get those restraints either on or off so that you could be situated. And that's where you had indicated you had been hurt. So that's what I'm talking about. I wanted to have a record of that here.
I think his
that was the
owies
6th.
are
I
from
also wanna,
Wednesday.
State for the record
I
that I
Or no,
was given
it is from Thursday. It's
paperwork
from when
to
they
fill out a
were
report
reading
of
the
my
jury
own,
instructions.
and I stressed that because after the detectives came and took the pictures of my bruises and injuries, I was told that they didn't know when I would actually get the actual filing of the report that they were going to report. So I just went ahead and asked for my own. I filled that out. I don't know if it's been given to the right parties yet.
You're talking about the inmate complaint form to have the either the jail or the sheriff's department review that related to the use of force.
Yeah, it was the top paper was from the sheriff.
All right, you know that that's not my responsibility to address what happened other than how it impacts this trial, which is why I wanted to have a record. If there's anything you
Yep.
believe should be in the
Jail
record from you
administration, unless
regarding
it
that, then you should turn
impacts
that
the
in.
trial, has absolutely
Okay.
nothing to do with her.
Right. I didn't have anything else on my list of things. I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks, so I will ask the state first. If there's anything you believe I should address prior to the jury coming things, I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks. Things I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks, so I will.
There's our
ask
first
the state
Wi-Fi
If there's
hiccup.
anything you believe I should address prior to the jury coming back out.
Yes, Your Honor, I would ask that some of the witnesses that testified last week be released from their subpoenas, especially now that we have Mr. Brooks' witness list. Specifically, I'd be referring to Corey Runkle.
Brooks
Officer
wanted to
Phillips,
recall all
Kyle
of these
Edwards,
witnesses for
Holly
his
Berg. I
case
know
in
on
chief.
his list today, he does still have Erica Patterson and Detective Guth.
but apparently
at some
not all
point,
of
we'd like
those
to be
are
heard about
on his
that, but we
witness
don't
list,
need to
which was due
delay
this
the jury
morning,
at this point.
such as
All right, any position on
Corey
the
Runkle,
request, Mr. Brooks?
who was our second witness.
I guess
the first day.
my objection to that would be Officer Phillips.
Did you put him on your
That
witness
would
list?
be one that I would still like to be under subpoena. Everybody else is I'm fine with.
That's the officer whose squad video I just struck. So you didn't have him in your subpoenas. So you'll need to, for now, I'll tell the state they can't release him. You'll need to fill out a subpoena, and I need to have that by the lunch hour today in
Okay.
order for him not to be released from the state subpoena.
And I definitely don't want Erica Patterson released from.
Right, you have her on your subpoena, so I understand
I
that.
just wanted that for the record.
All right, thank you.
You
All right, then I will
harassing
grant the
her
request from the
is
state as
not
to
going to
Corey
help you.
Runkle, Kyle Edwards, and Holly Berg. For now,
That-
Officer Phillips
That
will remain under
cross-examination
the
was
state subpoena along
terrible.
with Erica Patterson and Detective Guth. We can take issues up with that
The
either
jury's not going to
you know,
enjoy
maybe
him
closer to the lunch hour or
further
when we come
harassing
back,
a domestic
or even at
violence
the end of the day.
victim.
But I would like to bring the jury out. But of course, Mr. Brooks, I need to turn to you first and see if there's any issues you believe the court should address.
Very briefly, I just want to state
He
this for
doesn't
the
do
record
anything
that,
briefly.
an apology from me. in regards to my actions last week during the trial.
Oh my goodness.
I just want the court to understand it's very emotional right now. Not only for just the whole situation of the trial, the families here that have to go through,
Because of you.
everything that's going to be involved with the trial, but also my family as well and myself is very, very emotional. But not to excuse my actions, I should carry myself with better respect than that. I wasn't raised that way, and I owe you, Your Honor, and the court an apology.
You weren't raised
I
this
wanna
way,
stand
so
up as a
you
man
chose to be this
tell
way.
the whole court and you, Your Honor, that I apologize to the bailiffs, that I apologize for my actions.
Does this mean you're going to behave from now
Like I said,
on?
that's not how I was raised. I come from a Christian background. My mother did not raise me that way. She did not raise me, to act out of frustration and irritation and anger. And I just wanted everybody to know that I apologize for my
He's a
actions.
sovereign citizen.
And
No one has shown him the victims
I'm
yet,
going to try my
John.
best to whatever happens.
So he's not
be
apologizing to them,
everybody here.
just to
I
their
just wanted y'all to
families,
know
but
that.
they're not victims
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I do appreciate that.
by sovereign citizen logic.
Understandably so. This is an emotional experience, I think, for everyone involved. And I appreciate that you, upon reflection, have realized that courtesy and decorum are an important part of a court proceeding. I know
Exactly,
that
Static.
despite
She didn't raise him to be
you
that way.
being
He
emotional
chose
at
violence,
times, and
is what
not
I'm
being
hearing.
an attorney, you certainly, you're clearly paying attention. You've made
And if
some
he
very
knew he'd
salient
be
points throughout
emotional, he
the
should have
last few
kept
days.
his attorneys,
I
who
think you're
it's
settling
their
in
job
quite
to be
well,
cool,
and
calm,
we're
collected,
gonna keep this trial
unemotional.
And I know you said earlier, and I just want to make a record of this because it's really important that I do this, sir. You've mentioned repeatedly about your hearing. I know you don't have the headphones on now. We'll give them to you, just based on what I've observed this morning, and how you've responded to things that have been said. I think you're hearing us, but if we haven't made the headphones available, we got to make sure we do that every single day so that if you need them.
Part of me wonders if his
I do
hearing
appreciate everything that you've said.
goes along with the
And I know we
standard
have
sovereign
Detective Casey, who
citizen,
will
First
bring up
Amendment
momentarily
auditor.
for your
I'm
cross-examination.
a big
just so
tough
everyone
guy,
is aware.
but
It's
as
my
soon as
practice
I'm
when there's a
confronted,
second day
oh, ow, ow,
to
ow,
also
I
put
have
the witness
every
under
injury
oath
ever.
again. So
I can't
they'll at least
possibly
sitting
be
up there when the
arrested.
jury comes in.
Come on, internet. Come on. All right. Sorry about that. Like I said, on Wi-Fi today. That was a Wi-Fi issue. Our router is not very good. And like I said, I'm on Wi-Fi today. I wasn't able to run the Ethernet cable. So I'm going to try to at least get through the morning without it. I might just have to run it at lunchtime.
Detective Casey, you can come up so that you're on the stand for cross right away as well.
All right. They got the jury in during the technical difficulties. So we get the police detective's cross-examination. I saw your email, John. I'm going to have to be sure to stay on your good side. All right, Brooks, you should have been ready. Oh, I was wrong. They just brought the jury in now. I thought they did during the technical difficulties. Since they got the sergeant, well, the detective onto the stand, they were telling him the procedure for the morning. So now the show's about to begin.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. You can sit for a minute. We'll wait till our jurors have their notes ready. And good morning and welcome back. Hope you all had a very nice weekend. Previously, the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has struck this exhibit. The jury is hereby advised to disregard anything it may have heard during the playing of Exhibit 6. With that, we have Detective Casey here for cross, as is my practice. When there's a second day, someone's on the witness stand, I am going to have him stand to be sworn in again by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated.
In some courts, they'll just
And once
tell
again, for
him,
the record,
you're
state
still
your
under
first and
oath.
last name.
Thomas Casey.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, this is your opportunity to question him.
Good morning, Detective.
Morning.
So how long have you been in law enforcement?
Wow, he didn't
25 years.
he didn't start with
Since a long time.
first let me ask, or however he's started every other cross.
I want to direct you to the evening of November 21st, 2021. You stated that you were on duty that afternoon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall any disturbances that afternoon?
Yeah.
Do you mean when you drove through the parade routes? And
Your question was a little broad. Why don't you try to narrow down the time frame so he can answer that more specifically?
Roughly around the time of
That's how he does
maybe
most
4:30
questions, but his first
PM.
question is usually, I want to start with, or
Yes, I do.
first of all, let me ask
Do
you,
you
ask
remember
you, or
What
something.
you can recall?
Do I remember if I can recall?
Do you remember the disturbance you recall?
Yeah, you running through the parade.
Yes, I do.
Would you state what that is? What that was, rather?
You ran your
I
car through
heard
the
a horn
parade.
beeping, and then a Ford Escape came through the parade route, and you
Remember,
drove past me
this
and wouldn't
detective
stop,
was
and you continued
the one that
driving
tried
into the
to
parade
stop
route.
him from driving into the
Who is
parade.
you?
He was
Darrell
waving
Brooks,
his
the
arms
defendant,
above his
seated at the
head
table.
and hit his
Let the
hood.
record reflect that I do not
Hit the hood
identify
of
by
his
that
car.
name, nor do I know anybody by that name.
Your objection is noted.
So you heard a horn beeping.
Yes,
Was it coming from the vehicle that you tried to stop?
I believe that it was.
You stated that you've been in law enforcement for 25 years. That's a long time. So it would be fair to say that you
Oh, there it is. Fair to say.
operate a motor vehicle pretty much every day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I operate a motor vehicle almost every day.
And how is that relevant
And
to his trying to
would it
stop
be
you from
also
entering
fair
the
to say
parade?
that you would only beep your horn in a motor vehicle if you were trying to alert someone to your presence?
You did not have the legal
I
right
think that
to
could be a
enter
fair
the
statement.
parade route. So
Would it be
whether or
also
not
fair that
you
you would
honked
beep
your
your horn
horn
to avoid
is
any danger?
irrelevant. Driving into the parade route is
There
dangerous.
could be many reasons why a
Period.
person is beeping their horn.
Per se.
Would one of those reasons be to avoid danger?
It could be, yes.
This is ridiculous. I mean, he's absolved of 6 murders because he honked his horn.
Do you recall if you
I think he's going
were
with
able to
he honked
see
his
who was
horn, so they
operating
should
the
have got
vehicle
out
you
of his
attempted to
way.
stop?
Yes, I was.
And
He identified
recall a
you as the
description
driver of that vehicle.
of the operator of the vehicle you attempted
He
to stop?
described
He
white
was
hoodie,
light-skinned,
hood over his
black
head.
male, he had some light facial hair.
Is that all you recall?
That is what I recall.
Do you recall what they were wearing?
No, I do not.
May have
So
been
you
the
were
other
able to get a
officer that
description
identified the
of
white hoodie.
how the operator of the vehicle looked, but not what they were wearing.
It was a year ago.
That is correct.
He recognized your face.
Do you recall how fast the vehicle was going at the time you attempted to stop it?
I believe the vehicle was going about 3 to 5 miles an hour when I tried to stop the vehicle, and it continued on.
We
past
saw
me.
the video of how much
Would it be
faster
fair
he
to
was
say
driving
that,
than the parade vehicles.
3 to 5 miles an hour is not very fast?
He said 35, not
I think
3
it's very
to
fast
5.
when you're in a parade route, when there's hundreds of people marching in the road and a police officer isn't standing in front of your car, pounding on the hood, trying to get the vehicle to stop. I'd say that that's too fast.
Good answer.
Any speed is too fast on a parade route when you have all those people in the roadway.
Good
Cars should not have
answer.
been there.
That's
That
just
wasn't the question, but
devastating.
thanks for the commentary.
That was his answer to your question.
Attorney Opera will have an opportunity to redirect if necessary.
Would it be fair to say that that's not a very fast speed?
35 miles an hour through a parade
Sustained.
is flying. Or maybe this is his poor
Do
hearing.
you recall if the operator of the vehicle that you gave a description of had any hair on their head?
I do not recall seeing the operator's hair that day.
He
So
had
it'd be
his
fair to say you don't
hoodie
know if
up
they had
over
long
his
hair,
head.
short hair,
So
anything of that nature.
That is correct.
basically, his hoodie was massive because of his dreadlocks under it.
Do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing in this matter?
Yes, I do.
Can you recall what you said when asked a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I don't recall word for word what I said.
Do you recall being asked the question?
I would think that I was, but I don't recall the exact words that I used then.
And I should be a better YouTuber
Just
and
one
not wait
second.
till the end of a 4-hour stream to tell people to like, share, subscribe, bribe your friends to watch.
Do you recall saying that the operator of the vehicle you attempted to stop had short hair and a short dark beard?
I'm not sure what the context is, but I don't recall saying that the person had short hair.
The context was the question of, did you get a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I guess I'm not sure when you're speaking of, because was that when I saw the car or when we saw the vehicle after what witnesses said? It seems like I'm not sure exactly the time period that
So
you're
are we
asking.
talking about what witnesses said or what you actually saw?
Correct, that's what I'm confused about.
Well, you just said that you recall being asked at the preliminary hearing that you testified at a description of the operator of the motor vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
I'd give a 2-for-1 deal if it were possible, Static.
I don't understand your question.
I think it's very clear. You testified at the preliminary hearing in this matter, correct?
You don't
Yes,
need
I
to
did.
give
And were you not asked a description
commentary. I
of the
think it's very
operator of the
clear.
motor vehicle that you attempted
If the
to stop?
officer doesn't think it's clear, he can't answer.
So I believe my testimony was at the preliminary hearing that I did not see the person's hair, if that's the specific time that you're speaking of.
I have a portion of that preliminary.
My
hearing that
wrenches
you
are
testified
metric,
at with your
Steve.
words right here.
Mr. Brooks, what page are you at?
I am at page 17.
All right, thank you.
You were asked, could you see anybody inside the vehicle? Your answer was, at that point, I could not see the person real clearly, but as the vehicle continued pushing through me, I was paused. My position changed to the side of the vehicle where I was directly outside the driver's side window. And I could see inside of the window and I could see the driver very clearly. Would that be fair to say that those are your statements?
And he
Yes,
wouldn't
sir.
have seen your hair because you had a hoodie on.
So could you or could you not see the driver clearly?
He saw your face clearly. He didn't
Your
see
question is if I
your
could see him
hair.
clearly. Yes, I could see him clearly.
So why would you state that you couldn't see him clearly when asked the question?
You're asking
I think
about
you're
your
asking about his
hair,
hair. I'm
and your hair
So I asked
wasn't
about his hair
visible.
before.
between.
This is a different question. I asked
Yes.
about the,
Could you ask your question again, please?
He's real
you
aggressive
just stated that you could see
for
the driver
someone
clearly,
who,
correct?
not asking clear
Correct.
questions.
But you also said that you couldn't see the driver clearly, correct?
Objection, that's a misstatement.
Grounds.
So, Mr. Brooks, I think it comes down to a little bit of
Okay,
context.
number
and
one,
sustain the objection.
Don't shout
And then
grounds.
if you would please
Number two,
rephrase,
she was giving the
I think it
grounds
comes
for
down
the
to what
objection
point in
as you
time
shouted
in
that.
the contact with the SUV are you referring?
At any time.
Well, he said At first, he couldn't see you clearly,
The question again,
but
that's
you
not-
got
that question
closer,
is vague.
and then he could
Right.
see you
Put
clearly.
it all together, if you would, I'll sustain the
Eh.
objection.
At any time, could you see the driver clearly?
Yes,
At any time during
Yes,
your
he
attempt,
said
attempt
that
to
he
stop
could.
the vehicle?
Yes, at any time I could see the person clearly that was driving.
The entire time you attempted to stop it, you can clearly see the driver of the vehicle.
no, he didn't say that. He said
Well, at one
at
time you
first
asked
he
any
couldn't
time, and
see
then you
you.
asked the entire time. So
These are different
Answer the question,
questions.
please, if you can. If not, say.
But
you
they're
don't
different
understand.
questions.
I don't understand it.
He's playing semantics, but it's already been answered clearly. He couldn't see you at first, but then you got closer and he could. Simple.
Just a second.
Aside from which, there's already been multiple other
observe
positive
The vehicle
identifications.
strike anyone when you attempted to stop it?
Him.
No, I did not.
It struck him.
Did you see the vehicle strike anybody before it approached you?
No, I did not.
So it clearly didn't
Would it
happen.
be fair to say that there
He
were
just drove through and people
hundreds of people
mysteriously died.
present at the time that you attempted to stop the vehicle?
Yes, there were hundreds of people.
There were thousands.
And you saw no one struck by the vehicle?
That is correct.
He's getting close, Steve.
Did you see if anyone else was, could you see rather, if anyone else was in the vehicle?
I did not see anybody else in the vehicle when it passed my location.
Do you recall there being any tinted windows to the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I do not recall the passenger front or the passenger rear being tinted. I believe that the rear windows in the SUV were tinted.
So it would be fair to say that from your vantage point, you wouldn't be able to see the entire seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
That's irrelevant.
That's a statement.
Grounds.
Overruled. You may
That-
answer the
That's
question.
irrelevant anyway,
Could you repeat
because
the question, please?
Would it be
if
fair to
someone's in the
say
back of the SUV, they're not the
that
one driving.
because of the tint to the rear windows that you cannot visibly see the seating of the vehicle that you attempted to stop?
I think he characterized it as
Uh,
the
I did not see anybody in
cargo
the
area
vehicle.
windows.
I don't think that the
were
tint had
tinted.
any reasons for me not to be able to see in.
So it would be fair to say that you could clearly see the seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop, front, passenger, and back seat.
From the limited view that I had, I thought that I could see it.
Even though you just said that the rears were tinted.
He didn't say the rear passenger was tinted. He said the back.
I believe that it's the far back windows in the passenger compartment that were tinted, not the passenger windows, from my memory.
So it'd be fair to say you can recall every window that was tinted on the vehicle that you attempted to stop.
Asked and answered. He's already said what he thought was
Question's
tinted.
been asked and answered, Your
Grounds.
Honor. His answer should
Grounds.
stand.
Hold on, Mr. Brooks.
It-
The objection is sustained. Next question. Asked and answered.
his new favorite thing is grounds.
Detective Casey,
As
are
she's
you a
explaining
party
the
to this
grounds.
case in any way?
You need to give her a chance to
I don't
state her
understand the
objection.
question.
Are you a party to this case?
Yes, he thinks
I
he's
don't
Perry
understand the
Mason.
question.
He's
Have
a
you filed
witness.
claim in regards to
Okay,
this
okay,
case?
shut him down, Judge.
I have not.
This is the plaintiff bullshit.
Have you read the complaint in this case?
I've read the complaint.
Do you recall who the complaint was brought by?
Shut
The
him
complaint is brought by
down.
the state of Wisconsin, represented by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sue Opper.
So the state of Wisconsin then would be the plaintiff in this matter. then, correct?
Objection.
That is correct, the state of Wisconsin.
Do you
Shut
see the
him
state of
down.
Wisconsin present in the courtroom right now?
Yes, I do. They are represented at the prosecution table by District Attorney Sue Hopper, Deputy District Attorney Leslie Basie, Assistant District Attorney Zach Witchell.
You said represented.
Yes, sir.
Do you see the plaintiff?
The plaintiff is an entity. They are represented by the District Attorney's office.
Come on, Judge
So the plaintiff
and
is an
prosecutors.
entity.
Correct.
Although the witness is doing a
To
good
the
job
best of your
here.
knowledge, is an entity a human being?
An entity is an entity. It is not a human being.
To the best of your
Soft
knowledge,
sits have got a soft sit, John.
being in law enforcement for as long as you have, would it be fair to say that an entity, which is not a human being,
That
living
would be a
person,
legal
can bring a claim
conclusion.
against anyone?
That's a legal conclusion.
I believe they,
Object, Your Honor, to the
Grounds.
relevance.
Grounds.
Hold on, let her get her objection out, okay?
I mean, I've tried to be patient, but these questions really have no bearing on this.
The objection is sustained on relevance grounds. Next question.
And it was a legal conclusion, that one. Or calls for a
Have you
legal
ever had
conclusion.
any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Okay,
Sustained.
stop. You need to give her a chance
How
to
long
state
have you
her
known the
grounds.
plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Let her get her objection out, Mr. Brooks. It's sustained on
God,
relevance
he
grounds.
thinks it's a race. If he can say grounds before she can state her grounds, he wins. Every
Well, I
day
do
he
respect
finds a
Your
new
Honor.
way
I
to
think that
drive
those
me
are valid
nuts.
Questions to the matter.
Mr. Brooks, they've been sustained. Next question.
Just so we're clear for the record,
Yes, John. I believe that would be fair to say. It would be more than
Did
fair to
hear.
say.
the vehicle that you attempt to stop blow numerous times,
What?
blow its horn.
yes, I heard the horn blowing as it was approaching my position.
Would it be fair to say that that would indicate
Hopefully
that the
he
vehicle
learned
was trying
what
to alert people to its
hearsay
presence?
is in addition to
Also
ground.
speculation.
Sustained. Speculation.
Just 1 second.
How long before he
So would it
starts
be fair
asking
to say
questions
that
about the UCC?
the beeping of the horn was coming from the vehicle that you
He's
attempted to
he
stop?
asked
Objection
and answered.
Grounds.
It has been asked and answered. One last time, he may answer though. Go ahead. The objection's overruled.
I believe that it was coming from the vehicle that was coming to my position, the Ford Escape.
But it could have been
wanna
another vehicle
refer you
warning
again
the
to
escape
page
to stop.
15. It is from your testimony at the preliminary hearing.
With Your Honor, that's improper because Detective Casey does not have the testimony transcript in front of him.
The district
Grounds.
attorney is correct. This witness does not have the transcript in front of him.
He's testifying from his memory.
So would that render him unable to recall what he testified?
He
don't
doesn't
know.
know
You
what
have to
page
ask him that.
15 is.
That's what I was attempting to do, Your Honor. I apologize.
Was the Law and Order Marathon available in the
So
jail?
just so I'm
though?
clear, am I allowed to read from this or no?
Just ask your question, Mr. Brooks.
She can't give you advice.
From the best of your knowledge, do you recall stating in your testimony at the preliminary hearing that it was in fact the vehicle you attempted to stop that was blaring his horn.
He hasn't stated
Objection.
he
That's not what
knows.
the transcript says,
Grounds.
and it's been asked and answered.
He says he believes it
sustained.
was Brooks's vehicle honking its horn. He believes. He never stated as a fact it was his. He said he believes, because this is his perception. It's hard to tell if
Were
there
you
are multiple
injured in any
vehicles,
way
which one is
attempting
honking.
to stop the vehicle?
I was not injured when I was trying to stop the vehicle.
Otherwise, he'd probably
What did
be
you do after
listed as another count in the
attempting to
charges.
stop the vehicle?
I first got on my radio and advised the other units that were in the parade route that red Ford Escape had went past my position. I requested additional squads be sent 1039, which means red lights and siren. Shortly after that, I began running after the Ford Escape in an attempt to stop it.
Remember, one
But
of
the
the first
vehicle,
officers to
sped up to a
testify said
speed
the
that I couldn't keep
radio
up with it
suddenly went to
until
1039,
it hit the next
1039,
position.
1039 over and over again. And so he knew something terrible had happened.
Reading from the transcript, page 18.
That he doesn't have page 18.
Do you recall us making a statement? Initially, I began, it's sort of what you just said. Initially, I began chasing after the vehicle to try to get it to stop. And as I was following behind the vehicle, I could see that it was on the north side of the roadway, at times beeping its horn. Would that be fair to say that you made that statement?
That is a fair statement.
So even after you attempted to stop the vehicle, you still observed the vehicle beeping its horn.
You honking your horn
I
does
heard the
not
vehicle
absolve
beeping
you
its
of your
horn
crime.
after it passed me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
I
Yes,
can't
just
go and
briefly.
rob
I'd
7-Eleven.
like,
but
permission to
say,
put up Exhibit
"It's okay,
120,
it's
because
okay,
Your Honor's already
I'm
been
not
admitted
robbing
from
you."
Permission granted.
I can't punch
Is that the
someone in the
case?
face
Is
and
Exhibit
say,
120
"I'm
on
about
the
to punch
screen
you in
now?
the face,"
Yes, it is.
and
And
it's their fault
you've
for
been
not
asked
getting
here
out of my
today several
way.
questions from Mr. Brooks about
My fist
what
had a
you saw
right
as
to
the
be
vehicle
there.
passed you. Is that
Their
correct?
face
Objection.
didn't.
I do not consent to being called that name, and I do not know the person that you refer to.
Your
Objection
consent
is noted,
isn't
it's
required.
overruled.
Yes.
Is Exhibit 120, well, strike that. Do you know where on the parade route the vehicle was located when this screenshot was captured?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Apparently, he
Where?
didn't learn what hearsay
Approximately
is
the
over the
200 block
weekend.
of West Main Street. The building directly opposite the Ford Escape is 234 West Main Street.
As a Waukesha police officer,
You were back
he
at the
knows
intersection
what
of
the
White Rock
building
and
in the
Main Street,
background
correct?
looks like.
Yes, it was.
So about how far was it
Remember,
from
he
where you saw
testified
the red
at the end of
SUV with Mr.
Friday.
Brooks driving to where this photo was?
He
where this
narrated the
video was
drone
taken and this is a
footage
screenshot
of
from
the parade
that
route
video, correct?
Objection.
and
I do not
described
consent to being
every
called that
building
name, and I do not
along
know
the
the
route.
individual by who you refer to.
Your objection is noted. May I answer the question?
Exactly, Static.
I would say that
It-
it's
it-
approximately
and it's
2/10 of a
ridiculous
mile.
because
For me, a very short distance.
you can be
Okay.
convicted of armed robbery if you
Was the appearance virtually the same
Back
from
up
when
so
you
I can
saw
get
it
in
to
the
when this screenshot
camera
was
screen.
captured?
If I have
Objection,
my
hearsay.
hand
Overruled.
in my pocket
Yes, it was.
in the shape of a
Are
gun
you able
and I
to
walk
see
into the
the
bank and
driver of the
say,
vehicle in
"This
this
is an armed
screenshot, sir?"
robbery,"
Objection, hearsay.
my
Overruled.
finger gun
Yes, I am.
concealed in my pocket
Can you see the
can
hair of
make
the
it
driver in
armed
this
robbery.
screenshot, sir?
You cannot see his hair.
As the vehicle went past you, back at your post on White Rock in Maine, what were you focused on?
I was focused on the driver's face when it was driving past me.
Okay, you told us on direct examination on Friday you were able to pound on the hood, correct?
Correct?
Were you directly in front of the vehicle at that point?
Objection. It was also, he also said in his testimony on Friday that he can identify the clothing. He
That's
specifically
that-
said
that's-
what the color of the
Mr.
clothing
Rozier,
was.
she testify. That's
She
not a proper
asked-
objection.
She
As
asked,
to the-
were you in front of the
specific
vehicle,
objection,
not for an
it's
identification
overruled,
of his clothing?
And Attorney Opera may complete her question.
Where were you positioned when you were pounding on the hood of the SUV?
It's like,
Objection.
is the sky
Overruled.
is the
And by that, I
sky
don't
blue?
mean the
Objection,
street, I
grass
mean
is
where
green.
On the car.
I was directly in front of the vehicle by the left front bumper.
Did you have to step out of the way to avoid being struck?
Objection. Hearsay.
It's not
Overruled.
hearsay.
The
She's
vehicle
asking
came
him
in con-
what he
contact with me
did.
as it was pushing
That
through
can
me.
never
I
be
shuffled my
hearsay.
feet to the side, and then I continued down the side of the vehicle where I came directly in view with the driver's side window.
Okay, so you would have been, what was the driver doing as it passed you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
As he passed you, I should say.
Overruled.
Objection. I do not consent to being called he.
That's a new one.
Initially, he was staring straight ahead, and as I was,
I
pounding on
thought
the
he'd
driver's side
object to
window,
being
he
called a
turned
driver,
and
not
looked
to
directly at
being
my
called
face.
he.
And that, the reason you were pounding on the hood and pounding on the driver's side window is what?
I was trying to get the vehicle to stop.
Did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle never stopped.
Did the driver make any effort to pull over or pull off the parade route at that stop?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
I initially chased after the vehicle, trying to get it to stop. I could see the vehicle driving until it crossed Barstow, where it first made contact with people. The vehicle sped up, and I never saw it slow down or stop until I lost view of it as it crossed Barstow Street.
I would have gone with horses and ass, John, but your point's well taken. Okay, his histrionics
sir.
aren't needed.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't have the video up, he was bringing his hands up in a disbelieving
call his
manner
next
and
witness.
shaking his head at that
Thank
answer.
you. The state would call Officer Bryce Buttrin.
That's a nice alliterative name, Bryce Buttrin.
Officer, please make your way to the witness stand, which is
Okay,
to
get
my
ready
right
for a
the
lot
riser.
of
When you get
hearsay
there, please remain
objections
standing.
and
Raise your right
irrelevancy.
hand. My clerk Teresa will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And the
Thank you, sir. Please
prosecution's
have a seat.
going to allow him time to
First
state
thing I
his
will ask you
grounds.
to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
First is Bryce, Bryce. Last is Butryn, Butryn.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you currently employed?
As a police officer with the City of Waukesha Police Department,
How long have you been a police officer?
approximately 5 years.
Were you on duty on the date of November 21, 2021, sir?
Yes, I was.
And what was your duty?
I was assigned to a traffic control post for the annual holiday parade.
And what time did you start that afternoon?
I believe it was approximately 3 p.m.
Okay. And you were given a specific assignment of an area to patrol along the parade route?
Yes, I was.
Where was that location?
I was initially assigned to East Avenue at Arcadian Avenue, and I had repositioned to East Avenue and East
Yeah.
Main Street.
Okay, I'm gonna actually ask if we could please put up
No,
Exhibit 1.
I mean it's sometimes done on TV. In real life, you're never allowed to lean on the witness stand.
So
That
I'm
would
gonna
be
give you a
so
timer here,
inappropriate.
sir, if I may.
But
If I could have.
in general,
Would it-
the judge
would it
has
come in, please?
instructed
Thank you.
all the attorneys to
It's on the big
do their
screen behind you. I'm
questions
gonna
from
have to
counsel
use the
table
pointer and just,
instead
point out these
of
locations, please.
a
So-
lectern
Is that expandable? Does he
Since
need to open
he's
that up? All right. thank you.
shackled in place, so they don't want to prejudice him by
Okay. you
having
told
him
us first you
testify
were
in place,
monitoring
but
traffic at
the
East
attorneys walk around.
Street and Arcadian Avenue, is that correct?
Yeah, so I was at East Stand Arcadian, which would be right here.
And we have
Okay.
Exhibit
What was your
1
purpose in
back up,
working that
which is the
location
map of the
originally?
parade route.
Originally, it was to prevent
With
any
the officers
northbound
and
traffic
squads
from
listed.
entering the parade route onto Main Street.
Squad
to
cars.
Divert any traffic from East Avenue to travel eastbound on Arcadian.
Okay. And then you said you moved up?
Correct.
Where did you go at that point?
I had repositioned my squad, which was a marked police SUV, to the intersection of Northeast Avenue and East Main Street.
When did you make that move?
From what was the parade lineup that we had, when there was approximately 10 spots left that we had thought, which was inaccurate at that time.
Okay. So as the parade was starting or
As the parade was nearing the end.
nearing the end? Okay. Okay, you can have a seat again, please, sir.
So if he was posted near the end of the parade, he would have seen the carnage firsthand.
When you got up to near the parade route, did you just stay in that area, sir, or
Yes, I did.
were there any other officers present in that area?
Yes, there was.
And were you just watching the parade and monitoring the people?
Correct.
At some point, did something unusual occur?
Yes.
What was that?
That's putting it mildly.
There was initial radio traffic of squads being dispatched to what was initially coded as a man with a knife call. There was information that there was a fight occurring in Frame Park. And then after that, there was radio traffic that there was a vehicle that was entering the parade route.
Okay. And you were near the beginning of the parade route,
Oh,
as you just showed us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I
When you
misheard.
heard that information about a car entering the parade route, what did you do?
Based on the information that was available at that time and previous situations that had occurred, I unholstered my firearm and stood and began walking out into the road on East Main Street,
What were you doing?
trying to get the attention of the driver to divert them off the parade route.
And
Okay.
unholstering his
And
firearm.
how
is
far
preparing
into the road
to
did you go?
Stop the
I was
car.
initially positioned right at the intersection on the south side of Main Street. I had made my way to the north side.
Because deadly
Main
force
Street,
would certainly
and
be
I would
authorized
estimate maybe
in
50 feet
protection
or
of
so
human
from the
life.
intersection of Northeast Avenue.
Okay. Were you able to visually see the red SUV at that point?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
What was it doing when you
There's the
first saw it?
gigantic squirrel out the
vehicle was
window.
traveling on the north side of Main
Since
Street.
I know you're all here
It was
really
honking
for
its
squirrel
horn, and I
watch.
estimated the speed to be traveling at approximately 25 miles per hour.
Jesus, it's massive.
What did you do?
I had raised my left hand and was telling the vehicle to stop, and the vehicle was ignoring what I was doing.
When you say raise your left hand, can you demonstrate that for us, please?
So I placed my left hand out in front of me, indicating to the vehicle to stop.
Were you dressed in a full police uniform, sir?
Yes, I was.
Just for the record, when he raised his left hand, I would say about chest high, was with a palm facing out as if in the stop position.
Thank you. Officer Buttrin, as you stood in that position with your hand straight out trying to stop the car, would you say the car was off to one of your sides or directly in front of you? Could you tell us the position of the SUV?
The vehicle was directly in front of me. I would estimate my position to be where the front license plate would be on a vehicle, so right in the middle.
And what distance was the SUV away from you when you did this?
I would estimate the vehicle was
See if my sister-in-law can get a
Approximately
picture of the
200 feet or
squirrel.
so. It had came extremely close to me as it was making its way towards me.
Did you maintain that same position that you just described for us?
Yes, I did until the vehicle was getting to the point where I believe
She
that
might
it was
be
going
doing
to
the
strike
school
me,
run
so I
at
moved out of the way.
This exact
Were you
moment,
saying
though.
anything?
I was saying stop to indicate to the driver that stop the vehicle.
Were you saying that in normal conversational tone, or did you raise your voice at all?
I was yelling to get the attention of the driver as it was loud outside and it was cold, so I believe the windows were going to be up on the vehicle.
Okay. And your
That's a good
testimony is that you
assumption.
stayed in the position with your left hand extended in a stop motion for about as long as you could until you felt you had to move away to avoid being struck by the SUV?
That is correct.
If the SUV was coming directly towards you, did you step to the right or the left of the SUV?
I would have stepped to the right of the SUV, which would be the driver's side of the vehicle.
Okay.
That
Were you
means he
able to
could
see the driver of
identify
the vehicle as
Mr.
it went
Brooks.
past you?
I was able to get a general description of the driver.
What do you remember?
I remember the driver to be a male black wearing a gray or white shirt and appeared to be wearing a hat or have their hood up.
Okay.
That's a good
Would you say you got a
description.
good look at the driver's face?
I would say yes, I got a relatively good look at the driver's face.
Okay.
Can you identify
Did you
that
observe
person in
any
the
facial hair on
courtroom?
the driver?
At that time, I did not.
Oh, well, he did have a
And,
beard at the
did the car
time.
go right past you, sir?
Yes, it did.
As it went right past you, did anything obstruct your vision to see into the car?
No, it did not.
Were you able to see into the car, the SUV?
Yes, I was.
Did you see any other persons in the SUV?
I did not. There was only one sole occupant, which would be the driver of the vehicle.
As you were yelling at the SUV to stop and holding out the stop sign, did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle did not stop.
Did you see what the driver was doing as he went past you?
The driver appeared to be emotionless and was looking straight ahead, clearly ignoring anything that was to the sides of the vehicle.
Okay. Did you hear the vehicle honking its horn
Yes, I did.
more than once?
Yes, multiple times.
As the
Well, he's clearly
vehicle
innocent
went
then.
past you, what did you do?
I had lowered my firearm again to my side and I attempted to grab the driver's side door with my left hand
Why'd
At
you do that?
35 miles an hour.
in order to hopefully open the door and gain the attention of the driver to get them to stop.
Are you able to estimate the speed of the vehicle as it went past you?
Objection. Hearsay.
It's not hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer.
Based on my training experience, I estimated the vehicle to be traveling at approximately 25 miles an hour at that time.
Were you able to get the door handle open?
Not
I
at
was not.
25 miles an hour.
Did you get a hand on it?
I did not. The vehicle was traveling too fast to be able to do that.
Okay, you reached for it but missed, basically.
That's correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's still,
This is the
I'd
area where
say
you tried to stop the
foolhardy,
SUV. This is
but-
before Barstow, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
it's extremely
Um,
brave of him trying to grab a
Did you
moving
continue to
vehicle.
watch the vehicles that went past you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I had watched the vehicle and I began to chase after it westbound on Main Street.
On foot?
At least he objected
on
and
foot.
said relevant
Were you
instead of
walking or running? What were you doing?
relevancy.
I was running after it.
Were you saying anything at that time?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
At that point, after the vehicle had passed me, I was not saying anything. I just began chasing it.
Okay.
Notice the prosecutor's allowing
you were
him to
running
state
after it.
his
Yes,
false
Were you able to
grounds
catch
for
it?
the objection.
I was not. The vehicle was traveling too fast.
Can you approximate the speed of the vehicle at this location?
After the vehicle had passed me, I appeared to have begun increasing its speed. Vehicle was traveling approximately 30 to 35 miles an hour.
So he sped up
Did
into
you
the
see
crowd.
the red SUV strike anyone?
Not between the intersections of Northeast Avenue and Northwest Barstow Street.
How about once it crossed Barstow?
Yes.
That's where
What
the
did you see?
carnage began.
You can take your time. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot of questions, so.
I observed the
You know it's
Vehicles swerving side to
traumatic when
side.
a big tough
Um,
police officer
people flying
choking
from the
back
vehicle,
tears.
items flying in the air, things like that.
his voice is choked up.
Do you know, Officer Buttrin, as you have to reflect on this in your testimony, who was being struck?
But it's Mr.
Remember a
Brooks who's
uniform or a
emotional. You know, it's hard on
description of any
him.
type?
There was so many things flying at that point. I don't know what was being struck.
Now, you were trying to keep up with the vehicle, right, on foot?
Yes, I was.
To be clear, there's no squad cars chasing the defendant's vehicle, correct?
That's a good Wisconsin
that time, no.
squad
Okay, just
cars.
officers on foot trying to catch up.
That's correct.
And at any point, did you see the vehicle just pull over to the side of the road and stop?
Objection, hearsay.
It's a direct observation.
From the time
It's
that
not
I could
hearsay.
visually observe the vehicle, I did not see it stop or pull to the side of the road.
After you saw the SUV strike other human beings, did you see the driver stop, pull over, and check on those persons?
Objection, irrelevant.
It's not.
No, I
That
did not. The vehicle
he's
continued.
charged with hit and run resulting in
Was
death.
the driver of the
Him
SUV still
stopping
honking the
is an
horn?
element of the
Objection, hearsay.
crime.
Overruled.
It's not
From the
irrelevant.
distance that the
And
vehicle
that one
had
wasn't
traveled away from me,
hearsay.
I could not at that time hear what the vehicle was doing.
Okay. I'm gonna
But he knows
show a couple
two
videos to you,
objections
okay, sir?
and he
First, I'm gonna ask.
is determined
for
to
exhibit number
object to
16,
every
be
single
put on preview
question.
mode. Go ahead. All right. Do you see exhibit 16 on your screen, Officer Buttrin?
Okay.
Not yet. okay.
Potential trigger warning for those of you with video. This might have difficult video to watch.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Ms. Gussie to just play a few seconds so that you can make sure you're looking at the same clip that we've seen before. Okay, you can stop. For the record, about 3 seconds of the clip was played. Do you recognize this video clip, sir?
Yes, I do.
In the preview that you just observed, did you see yourself in the clip?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I'm going to ask, excuse me, do you believe this clip is a true and accurate representation of your actions on November 21 of 2021?
Yes, I do.
She's
Move
laying
to
a
admit and
foundation
position
to
public
admit
honor.
the
We
video.
haven't seen the entire video yet. How do we know what's in the video?
The proper foundation has been laid, the objections noted, exhibit 16
And you've
is
had
received,
the opportunity
permission
to
publish
watch
is
the
granted.
entire video.
All right, for the record.
It's on
a
you
total
to know
clip of
what's in the
18 seconds.
video.
I'm going to play it through once for the jury, and then we can break it down and ask you to describe further if we need to.
They play the couple seconds so the officer can identify the video, laying the foundation to get it admitted. At some point, he should read up on the rules of evidence and the rules of procedure.
Officer Buttrin, is that?
I mean, both of those are entire law school courses, so.
Video, is that video consistent with the testimony you just provided about your efforts to approach the SUV and stop it?
Yes, it is.
We were not able to see on the video the part where you stood in the middle of the road with your left hand extended, correct?
That is correct.
But we did see you run from the right side of the video to the left side of the video and appear to be making your way down the north side of the street. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is that the location where you would have been when you tried to stop the vehicle?
Yes.
And then we saw you sprinting after the vehicle, correct?
Running from the right
Yes.
side of the screen to the left side
To show you another
would
exhibit.
bring him
17, please.
to the right side of the vehicle. Since the road traveled sort of
And again, we'll
southeast
preview it,
or
ask you to
southwest.
Take a few seconds to look at it and see if you recognize it, okay?
Or
Okay, you can stop. Again, she just previewed.
I'm
the
getting
first
myself
3
turned
seconds.
around.
Officer Butler.
The
have you
video's
seen
not on
this
the
video
screen.
Before, sir.
Yes, I have.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe this video is a true and accurate representation of your actions on November 21 of 2021?
Yes, I do.
I don't
happen
know if
to
these are
know,
security
how
camera
This
or
video was
parade
recorded?
goers, cell phone
Or
cameras.
from
Relevant.
what camera? You're right, it's a vague question. From what camera this video was recorded?
Objection, relevant.
Overruled.
This was recorded from the City of Waukesha Police Department squad camera
All
For your
right.
squad car.
for the squad car that was operating.
That was
yes.
pretty much what I was just wondering
Um,
about.
Move to admit number 17 and permission to publish.
Objection. Actually, it was 4
Grounds.
seconds that was played, and we still aren't clear of the relevancy of this video.
Your objections are noted. The foundation has been laid. It's relevant. Overruled.
You not knowing what
Exhibit
is in the
17
video
received.
is your
Permission to
fault.
publish is granted.
Your
All right, we're
preparation
gonna put
is
it up.
on
Before we
you.
play it, I'm just gonna have you set the scene here. Can you, that's a touch screen
Because
in
I
front of you,
guarantee
sir.
the
Can you
prosecution made the
circle
video
yourself in
available.
the, video?
And he has a tablet in his cell to review all of the evidence.
All right, and next to it, looks like there's a person in a yellow vest that reads police. Is that correct?
Objection. We're referring to the officer giving testimony, not the officer that's present with them.
Overruled.
Yes, that is correct.
Who is that officer?
The officer giving
That'll
testimony
be
can
Officer Schneider.
testify about officers
And,
being with him.
What's the crossroad here again? If you could just remind us.
Objection.
On the-
Relevant.
We'll start on the south side of the street.
The objections noted. It's overruled. He may answer.
On the south side of the street where the squad is parked, that is going to be Northeast Avenue.
Okay. And on the north side of the street?
I believe that'll be Buckley Street.
And we
Okay.
see white and yellow or white and
Can you
orange
erase so you can
barricades
clear
across the
screen,
street,
please? Oh, clerk did it. Thank you.
clearly marking that it's
Um,
closed.
Just kind of draw a line or point out where Buckley Street is. It's a little hard to see exactly.
But the traffic lights are working in the
Correct.
intersection. They're not turned to flashing
Show the-
yellow.
Okay.
or
And
red.
as this video plays, you can see Buckley Street a little clearer as the people move. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, please clear. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and play this in its duration. It's 37 seconds in length.
That video's not on screen. We saw a still from it.
There you go.
Correct.
That sounded like the police radio
All right, Officer Butron, again.
advising of a car in
Not
the
a
parade route.
100% clear shot, but you can see you making your way around the front of that white pickup truck, correct?
Correct.
That was one of the entries in the parade?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then you kind of go out of view behind that.
And I
white
believe we
pickup
saw that
truck,
white
correct?
pickup truck
That
in
is correct.
a small
Is that the
grainy
area where you
surveillance video
encountered,
on
Mr. Brooks
Friday.
in the SUV?
It was going about 2 miles an hour with Brooks's red SUV
Objections
flying
noted, it's overruled.
past.
That is where I had initially placed my hand out in front of me and advising the vehicle to stop.
Okay.
And good morning, Empty Woods. You've missed out on the excitement.
How far
He's
down that
learned a
parade
new
route did
word.
you run, sir?
Every time the
I made it all the
prosecution
way down
objects,
to the
he races her and
tattoo parlor,
screams
to the
grounds
before
before she
block
can
of
state
West
the
Main Street,
grounds.
So almost all the way down Main Street till it makes the curve and ends.
Okay. And you were not able to catch up to the SUV, correct?
No.
But again, as you.
Usain Bolt
previously
couldn't
testified,
catch up to the
had
SUV
not
at
stopped
35
anywhere along
miles
that
an
route,
hour.
correct?
Objection, already asked this question.
That's
It was
asked and
answered already.
answered.
It's foundational, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Correct. I never observed the vehicle stop at any point that I was making my way down the route.
As you were running down the route, did you encounter people who had been struck and injured?
Objection, already asked question.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
What do you remember about that, sir?
This is difficult for him,
There were
obviously.
multiple casualties on both sides of the road, varying degrees of injuries to people.
It sounds like there was some
The
crying
only way
in
to
the
describe it is just
gallery.
pure chaos. There was people pulling at me in multiple directions, trying to help people.
Did you attempt to render first aid to some people?
Initially from the area of Barstow to the area of about Clinton Street. There was still an active threat of the vehicle, so I continued to chase after that vehicle to stop the threat. And then when I made my way to Clinton Street and westbound from there, began to render aid.
Okay. Some point much later in the night, are you aware that the vehicle that was suspected to have been involved in this incident was found on Maple Street, sir?
Give me
Yes.
that sweet
Did
watch
you go to
time,
that area?
Empty Woods.
Yes, I did.
Did you take a look around the
It's all about
area
the
where
watch
the vehicle
time.
was located?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to determine, well, strike that. Do you remember where the vehicle was parked?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
I do not recall the address in which it was parked, but I do know the position of where the vehicle was parked, yes.
Could you just briefly describe how the vehicle was parked?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
The vehicle was backed into a driveway at a residence
Clearly,
on
nothing
Maple
is
Street.
relevant. We shouldn't
And
even be
you,
having the trial because it's irrelevant.
Remember looking around the area where the vehicle had traveled near the residence on Maple Street?
Yes,
Do you remember finding a hat at that location?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
yes, I do.
Maybe tomorrow he'll
Ask
start
for,
objecting to
Exhibit
leading,
92 to
just
the-
adding to his
previous heavy witness, please.
vocabulary. I am impressed though. He's not stating it
92
right,
also.
but he is
Yes,
objecting to
Do you
asked and
remember seeing,
answered,
that item?
which is
Yes, I
actually
do.
he's close, but
Do you believe this picture
As
is
the
a true and
prosecution
accurate representation
stated,
of the
it's
hat that you
foundational,
observed in
so-
the backyard?
it's resetting the scene,
Move to admit 92
but
and
not for
permission to publish, Your Honor.
emphasis or repetition.
Objection hearsay. How can we know for sure that that hat wasn't by somebody that lives in the building?
That's
Mr. Brooks,
not
you can't
hearsay.
testify.
It
You're
would be
attempting to do that. I'll
speculation.
instruct you not to. Your objection is overruled. And exhibit 19 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
I'm sorry, it's 92, Your Honor.
Oh, 92. Thank you. Exhibit 92.
Gotta get those exhibit
You
numbers
remember
right.
seeing that hat in the backyard area, sir?
Yes, I do.
Irrelevant.
In fact,
Was that an
in
objection or
fact, you
just
remember asking
a
the people at
statement
the
that it's
residence if any
irrelevant?
of them own that hat?
There was one male that came out that had taken a picture and asked the rest of the residents at that location if it was any of theirs.
Of course, I don't know where this
Did it
hat
belong to
came
anyone
in.
at the residence?
They indicated that it did not.
I don't know that I've seen disorder in the court. But I can imagine.
Officer Buttrin, the videos that we saw, exhibit 16 and 17, I asked you about that side road.
Although I wouldn't
on the
mind if
north side of
he
the street, north
mimicked
side of Main
being the
Street,
recipient of
Buckley
the
Street,
eye poke.
correct?
That is correct.
Speaking
Were
of
there
the
any
Three
barricades at that
Stooges.
location, sir?
Objection hearsay.
It's not
Well,
hearsay.
Yes, there
The
were. If I remember
presence
correctly, I believe there were
Of
3
barricades is not a
Did they,
statement.
fully
How
block
is it
the
a
roadway at
statement?
that location?
Yes.
If Mr. Brooks had wanted to leave the parade route, would he have been able to get out at that location?
Objection. I do not consent to that name, or nor do I know any individual by that name.
Your objection's noted. You may answer the question.
Yes, it would have been a reasonable exit point.
I've got
Would
it
there have
on
been
another
anything other
tab,
than those
John.
plastic barricades that would have blocked his exit from the parade at that spot?
It'll be my
Objection,
decompression
hearsay.
It's not hearsay,
decompression
it's overruled.
video
You may answer.
tonight.
No, the only thing that would have been struck was the plastic barricade.
Thank you. Those are all my questions, sir.
You may ask this witness questions, Mr. Brooks.
All right, here we go.
Yes. Officer.
He was
is
real
it
combative with the
Butcher?
first witness,
Correct.
Empty Woods.
Good morning, officer.
Real combative.
You stated that you had got or you heard a radio call about a knife fight in Frame Park.
He didn't
That
say
is correct.
Frame Park.
Did you ever at any time follow up or go to Frame Park to investigate the said knife fight?
No, I did not.
Did you learn any initial information about the said fight?
He wasn't a witness
did
to the
not.
fight. He only heard it on the radio.
Do you know who reported the knife fight?
How
No,
would
I
he
did not.
know? This isn't helping you. You're just calling attention back to the fight.
So you also stated that you heard the vehicle that was approaching honking its horn multiple times. Is that correct?
Yes.
That doesn't excuse you.
To the best of your knowledge, what would be a reason that someone operating a motor vehicle will honk their horn?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled, you may answer.
There are multiple reasons.
Speculation
why
would
a vehicle
be,
do that.
why do you think I was honking the horn?
Can you give
Or-
any specific reason?
To alert people or vehicles in the area that there's a vehicle coming.
But you didn't have a legal right to be driving there, horn or not.
And you also stated that you didn't see anyone.
Besides,
struck
we saw
when
basically the
while the
tunnel
vehicle
along
was
the parade
approaching.
route. There was no escape.
Between the area that I observed the vehicle and Northwest Barstow Street, I did not see anybody struck, no.
Aside from which,
Would it,
every parade I've been
would it
to
be
has
fair to
had
say that you also
horns
didn't see the
honking,
vehicle target
sirens.
anyone?
I wouldn't realize
Speculation.
until I was run over that
Calls for speculation on the part of the witness.
it's
So
just,
it's
this is
sustained.
ridiculous.
You can rephrase your question.
Did
The
you
way it was
see,
asked calls for speculation.
while the vehicle was approaching you, you stated that you saw it maybe 200 feet away, I think is what you said. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Did you see the vehicle actively targeting anyone to strike them?
Same objection.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What would you estimate the population was right at what was shown on the video? Was it hundreds of people, dozens of people, right in the general area that you were?
I would estimate there's probably several hundred people in that area.
On
And
that
you saw
intersection,
no one struck.
there were thousands
Objection vague.
at the
Can
parade.
you rephrase, please, just to be specific?
And he said he didn't see anyone
Out
struck
of the hundreds
before
of people that were in
the
your general
Barstow
area,
intersection, but
you
he
didn't
saw
witness
carnage
anyone being struck by the
after.
vehicle.
Not initially.
Well, that means it clearly wasn't him. It was some other car plowing through the
You also
crowd.
stated that there were barricades in the general area that you were.
Yes.
Were they off to the side? Were they in front of you?
They were blocking the cross streets.
Where were the barricades located?
They would have been located on Buckley Street and on Northeast Avenue.
They're not going to be blocking travel along Main Street because
Would it be fair to say
it
that
would
those
be
were
ridiculous.
the side
The
streets?
parade's not going to wind
coming
around
into the main street?
barricades.
Yes.
This is
So would it be
ridiculous.
fair to say that a vehicle that was on the parade route would have to go down one of those side streets that was barricaded off to exit the parade route?
So
Yes.
clearly you couldn't just stop. You had to keep going until there was an exit.
And from your I guess from your perspective, would a vehicle that was on a parade route know that they can exit from those areas that were barricaded?
Generally, vehicles on a parade route
Sustained.
continue for the whole parade because, you know, that I realize this is a difficult
Were
concept.
you injured in any way?
They're there
by
for the
vehicle?
parade.
No.
And in the video was pretty. It was pretty short video.
Okay, we don't need your
Would it be fair to say that the vehicle passed
editorializing.
you relatively quickly?
Yes.
Yeah, he said 25 speeding up
And
to
you were able to
35
get a look
by
at the
his
operator
estimate.
of the vehicle as quickly as it passed you?
Yes.
The officer
Did you
keeps
notice any tinting
swiveling
to any of the
when he answers his question. I think
windows
he's
on the
looking
vehicle?
to the jury,
No.
which Brooks objected to with a previous
So you were able to
witness
see inside of the
because
vehicle
the
pretty
jury's
clearly.
not asking questions, so he shouldn't
Yes.
look at him. Probably got a great look as he was reaching for your door handle.
Did you get a description of what the operator of the vehicle was wearing?
Yes.
He gave a description. He said a white or light gray hoodie. Well, shirt, he said.
You
And
stated the
hat or hood.
operator of the vehicle was wearing a hat. Would that be fair to say?
He said a hat or a hood.
The operated vehicle appeared to be wearing a hat or have their hood up.
If you got a clear description of the operator of the vehicle, wouldn't you know if it was a hat or a hood?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
Would the vehicle had been moving too fast for you to clearly see if the driver had anything on their head?
No.
He stated he saw something on your head.
About how fast would you estimate that the vehicle was traveling when it passed you?
Approximately 25 miles per hour.
About how fast would you estimate the vehicle was traveling when it was approaching you?
He said it approached at about
Approximately 25 miles
25,
per hour.
but he also testified on direct it seemed to speed up to 35 after it passed him. And later on, we'll hear from experts who analyzed the video that
Were you
estimated
able to
him
hear
at
the vehicle
33
honking before
and
it approached you, or
32
when it came upon you?
at various points.
I was able to hear the vehicle honking before it approached me.
Did you hear the vehicle honk after it had passed you or came in contact with you?
No, I did not.
Would it be fair to say that the video shows that you can clearly let me rephrase that. Would it be fair to say
No,
the
it would
video that
not
was
be fair
shown,
to say.
you can clearly hear the vehicle honking?
No.
Can we play the video again for the witness?
I mean, he did say, I heard it honking as it
Which
approached
video?
me. The video is as it is at him.
Exhibit 17.
So if he didn't hear it honking after it passed him, it's very
squad
possible honking wasn't on the video.
That's the one you're requesting, the squad video?
Exhibit 17.
All right, permission
Whatever
to
it is.
publish
But once again,
and show is
him honking
granted.
shows he knows he was driving into a crowd of people. This does not help him. It shows his intent. Okay, that they're actually showing the video on screen now. They didn't on direct. And we
Pause it
see
right
the
there.
white pickup. That's a
So
parade
at the
support
time,
vehicle.
we see you running over to where this white, I think that's a pickup truck. Is that you?
Yes.
At that time, had you heard
And the white
vehicle
pickup
honking?
was moving very slowly.
I don't recall.
What prompted you to move so quickly to jog towards the area that you were jogging to?
He saw that you were driving.
The radio traffic
quickly.
that I had heard.
So at that time, did you see a vehicle approaching? Wait, I still want to play that.
This does not help you. You don't want the jury
At
to
that time,
keep
did you
seeing
see
this
the vehicle
video.
approaching?
This is damaging
From
your
my position
case.
here, I don't know exactly when I had observed the vehicle.
Continue playing. Pause right there.
And
Would it be fair to say that that was
at this
not just a
point,
horn that was heard
the
honking
crowd,
after the vehicle was past you?
basically the parade is
I
sparse,
did not
but
hear
there's
horn, no.
the
Behind you.
audience.
For the record, Your Honor,
Most
the
of
first
who
time
he
Mr.
hit
Brooks asked for
was
the
parade
video to be paused, It was
participants.
22 seconds. The second time, it was about 39 seconds. We're now going back to about.
Prosecutor providing a good
30-second mark.
record.
Objection, there isn't 39 seconds in the video, it stops at 37, so how could it be
I'm
39?
sorry. You're absolutely right, sir. 29. I thought you said 39.
She's doing
I
her
can
best
hear-
to
I can
provide
hear
a.
a horn.
Sir, you can't testify, so you can ask a question of this witness, we'll watch it again,
When,
but at
Let
some
me ask
point,
you-
you can't argue with
Okay,
let me
us.
ask this
stop
question.
talking over the
When
judge.
did you observe or hear the vehicle honking? At which part in this video?
He didn't say he heard it in the video.
At no point in this video do I hear the horn honking.
He
But
said
you did in fact hear the vehicle honking.
Yes.
this
you remember
lines
what-
up with his testimony. He said he heard you honking
You were
before
generally
you
doing when
reached
heard the
him and not
vehicle
after.
honking?
This is as you reached him.
Making my way to the north side of Main Street to get the vehicle to stop.
So that would be when you were sprinting over to the white pickup truck.
Correct.
This
That's
is
when you heard the vehicle honk.
this is not helping at all.
Sometime in between there, yes.
And you heard it multiple times.
Yes.
But not on this video, as he said. I didn't either.
And to the best of your knowledge, a honking horn from a vehicle would indicate trying to alert people to its presence, correct?
There are several reasons why a vehicle would honk the horn.
Would you honk your vehicle to alert people to your presence?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
God, I mean, even if he loses the
You said there
race,
would be multiple reasons
she states her grounds and he
that a vehicle
shouts
will honk
grounds.
its horn. Would it be fair to say that one of those reasons would be to alert?
And as I've said,
Objection asked and answered.
I try not to be petty in real
You
life.
may answer it.
This
You may
guy
finish your question,
brings
but-
the petty out of me to the point you can
Would it be
start
fair
calling
to
me
ask
Tom.
That would be
'cause
to alert
I'm
the
Tom
many people
Petty
that
here.
we can see in this video right now to the presence of the vehicle approaching.
Yes.
First off, welcome
Officer, but when I see you in
C3.
the uniform today,
141
would it be
GG.
fair to ask that you would be
Gonna call you
on duty
C3.
right now, if not called to testify?
Hold on.
I commented
before we
last
move on
week,
to the next topic, you had asked
him
it to be
wasting this
paused.
time
I trust you
pisses
don't
the
want
jury off.
anything further from this video.
And it gets
paused to the
worse and
jury at this
worse.
time.
Their time is valuable.
No,
They're
no,
away
it's-
from work.
All right,
They
now
might
let me
be
take it
losing
down.
money
My
being
apologies for the
here
interruption.
if
Oh,
their
okay.
work doesn't give them
Go
jury
ahead,
duty
ask your
pay.
question again.
This pisses people off.
Would it be fair to say that if you weren't
His sovereign
here to
citizen
testify
time
this
wasting
morning, you
pisses
would be
people
on
off.
duty?
No, I would not be.
So this will be an off day?
I'm currently on vacation, yes.
Exactly, John. Well,
Do you
like I
normally
said,
wear your
if-
uniform on vacation?
if he punches someone in the face and says,
Grounds.
I'm punching,"
He may answer.
it's not the
Only if I have
victim's fault
something
for
related
not
to
moving
police
their
activity or
nose.
duty.
Do you feel that it was necessary to wear your uniform in court today? Grounds.
Argumentative?
Sustained. Next question.
Are you a party to this matter in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant?
Grounds.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
Do you have a claim in this matter?
Objection.
Objection.
Irrelevant?
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you read the complaint in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Not
Give
relevant.
her a
Sustained.
chance to state the grounds.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection.
Objection.
Irrelevant?
Grounds.
Sustained.
Can you?
You were doing a good
testify
job
on
on
who
Friday,
called you
Judge.
to
Shut him
testify?
down.
Who subpoenaed you to testify here this morning?
I believe it was the state of Wisconsin.
It was
So the state of
Waukesha
Wisconsin-
County. but-
Wisconsin would be the plaintiff in this matter, to your knowledge?
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
This question is irrelevant.
Sustained. It's not relevant, sir. Sustained. Next
I think it
question.
holds relevant who called him to testify.
You already answered.
He answered that.
So you've had interactions with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant and vague.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Can you testify?
Isn't
if the state of
there-
Wisconsin is a living human being or an entity?
Objection.
Stop.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
But isn't there a TV show where someone's acting as their lawyer and they go, "Objection, filibuster"? I'm waiting for him to do that now that you mention it, C3.
So you in fact don't have a claim in this matter? correct?
Objection, irrelevant,
irrelevant.
and asked and
Grounds.
answered.
Sustained.
You are aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin, are you not?
Objection. Irrelevant
Grounds.
and
Sustained.
inaccurate.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If that's an inaccurate statement, then who pays you?
The
Objection
Waukesha
to
Police
relevance.
Department.
Overruled. He may ask. He may answer. I assume you mean who pays him
Wisconsin
his
isn't a legal
salary.
person. It's a
Correct.
legal entity.
Be the city of Waukesha.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
It is.
Yes.
Is the city of Waukesha the plaintiff in this case?
It's the state of
No.
Wisconsin.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this case? in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Irrelevant.
Next question.
So to the best of your knowledge, you've never even had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Shut him down.
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, under 90611, if you need to move on to a new topic of cross-exam, otherwise I will declare the cross-exam opportunity closed.
Good job, Judge. It's about time. And for the record, the state of Wisconsin
At
is
any
the
time when
sovereign
vehicle
in this
passed,
matter.
Did you hear the vehicle honk?
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Is it fair to say that in the video clip that we were just shown, no one was struck?
Correct.
Would it also be fair to say that in the video we just saw,
Oh, come on, internet.
the vehicle did not attempt to strike anyone?
Speculation.
Grounds.
Speculation. She said, give her a
Sustained calls for
chance.
speculation on the part of the vehicle operator.
We can clearly see in the video that no one was attempted to be struck.
No, you can't see.
The jury will disregard the last statement made by
Besides
Mr.
which,
Brooks as
this is a
he did
factual
not testify at this
determination.
point in
The
time.
jury gets to decide if you intended to
question,
strike
please.
someone.
Just for the record, I don't consent to be.
It's not you. It's not the witnesses.
Next
The
question, please.
jury decides intent. That's why the jury's there. When I sound condescending, I'm speaking directly to Mr. Brooks, not you guys.
Is it fair to say that by the video footage, and to the best of your knowledge,
It's not a self-driving
no one was
2018
struck
Honda
before
Odyssey.
the vehicle approached your presence?
Objection,
Grounds.
asked and answered.
Come on, internet.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question.
I didn't answer the question.
The witness answered the question. You asked the question. Asked and answered is a two-part objection.
To the best of your knowledge, at that point where you observed the vehicle, to your knowledge, no one had been struck at that point.
Correct.
The prosecutors are as frustrated as we are. But she's professional. All three of them are professional. And they're doing an excellent job. Come on. They're phenomenal prosecutors. And Judge Darrow
And for the record, you have
is a
no
little too
filed
patient this morning, but
claim
she's
in
been
this matter
excellent.
whatsoever.
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
And asked and answered.
Were you injured in any way during this matter?
He already
No.
stated no.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Just very briefly, please, Madam Clerk, put back up number 17. And as it's being displayed right now, we are paused at the 33-second mark. Officer Buttrin, can you clearly see north on Buckley Street from this vantage point, sir?
Yes, I can.
You see one plastic barricade
Exactly.
obstructing travel
They're
to
all
go northbound
making
on
sure
Buckley
that
Street at that
the-
location, sir.
Objection. You can clearly
it's
see
too expensive.
officers
Go-
there too.
Come on. Don't testify,
Jury will
Brooks.
disregard at least the attempt to testify by Mr. Brooks. Your objection is noted.
But yeah, the
overruled.
prosecutors and the judge
You may
don't want it
Answer the
over-
question.
turned on appeal. An appeal is
Yes, there's at
inevitable.
least one barricade visible there.
Okay.
A second trial is not.
And I am going to ask the exhibit be replayed in its entirety with no one talking, so we can all listen to hear if the horn is honking.
Not that it
So-
matters that the horn was
Discussing,
honking.
please play it again from the beginning.
Permission granted.
Thank you.
I did not hear a horn, but I heard over the radio, there's a red SUV driving westbound,
Exhibit 17 has
blaring
been
its
played in
horn.
full. Officer Buttrin, at any point were you able to hear the horn honking in that video, sir?
No, I was not.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
And
Thank
you're
you,
right,
Mr.
Static.
Cal.
Where it exponential growth.
All right, this will be a good stopping point for our mid-morning break. We'll take a 15-minute break. All rise for the jury, please.
All right. Since the judge is taking a break, I'm going to take a short break. Going to leave the stream live until lunchtime, so I'll be back. Entertain yourselves while I'm gone.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be back in 15 minutes. We are in recess.
All right, I'm back. I figure there's no point sitting here squirming when the judge provides the court what she describes as comfort breaks. So I may as well have a comfort break too. Um, so I thought both witnesses this morning have been very good. The first was, as you saw, just the continuation from Friday. He started his cross examination this morning, and he did a good job. I think he answered the questions well. He didn't put up with nonsense questions. He didn't directly call him out for asking nonsense, but he did sort of fight back with his answers a little bit. Um, the second officer was he, he's clearly younger. He stated he's been on the job for 5 years, so I'm guessing he's in his 20s, a young guy. He was definitely more nervous. He definitely, I think, took this harder than the detective, but he also testified that he saw the carnage. He he said he testified on the one side of Barstow Street. He didn't see anyone struck, and then after Barstow, he saw so many people that there were too many people grabbing at him for help for him to help, basically, which I just can't imagine being in that situation. It's absolutely heartbreaking for him on a personal level. Um, I just couldn't imagine. And of course, Mr. Brooks has been doing a better job at aggravating me. At some point, I think Judge Doro, as I've mentioned repeatedly, is an excellent, excellent judge. She might be the best judge in the district, and that's why she was assigned to the case. Or it might have been the random selection process. Um, but she's excellent. And I'm guessing since on Friday she allowed him to go on with his sovereign citizen nonsense a lot longer in the morning, and by the evening, well, afternoon, I guess they ended up just before 5, so that's technically not evening. But she reined him in, and second question, she said, "All right, you're done." I I think she comes in every day with a blank slate as far as aggravation, and so she did let him go on a lot longer than I would have. But I think by the end of the day, she probably reins him in again. If I were her, I would admonish him now, though. Before the jury returns, I would tell him, you need to give the prosecutors a chance to state the grounds for their objection, because it's just ridiculous that every time they say objection, and as they're stating the grounds, he's shouting over them. And even after they state their grounds, he shouts over them. It might be that he wants them to do what's called speaking objections, which is would be objection, relevance, and then stating what they think is irrelevant or why they think it's irrelevant. But that's inappropriate. Courts generally don't allow speaking objections, and if it were something to be argued about, you'd approach the bench and argue it out of earshot of the jury. Some courthouses even have a static white noise machine so that the jury can't hear, even if it's not muffled whispering. but the grounds are relevance, hearsay. That is the grounds. You don't need to go into more detail than that. But I th- I have a feeling that's what he's wanting, but it would just be inappropriate. So, but either way, his antics are unprofessional. If it were a lawyer, they'd be sanctioned by now, or at least admonished. Um, if it were me, I would have been admonished very quickly and potentially held in contempt by the third or fourth time. Things can get chippy in court, but it can't be this constant stream of it. It's just it does not work. It's inappropriate, which the judge has admonished him multiple times, um, starting as far back as almost 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks on Wednesday when he asked to fire his attorneys. And the judge told him right then and there, I'm going to hold you to the same standard as an attorney, which clearly she hasn't, but it's widely known that even though pro se litigants are admonished that they're going to be held to the same standard as an attorney, they're just not. They're given some leeway, but when it comes to courtroom decorum, civility, there should be a lot less leeway than, say, not fully knowing the rules of evidence. And if 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 he properly objects but doesn't state the right grounds exactly, the judge should probably still uphold the objection or sustain it. Or even like earlier, he was trying to object to questions as asked and answered, except he said objection, that's already been said, or something to that effect. So he's not stating the objection exactly how a lawyer would. It's not out of the rules of evidence, but it's still a proper objection. So the court should construe it as an asked and answered objection, which she still denied the objection that because as the prosecutor said, they were laying a foundation. It wasn't improper. So, and I didn't know at what time the court went to recess, but I would assume they should be coming back soon. I'm a few seconds behind here, so. All right. Yeah, that static. I hope we sounded great as squirrels. I'm assuming you were at 1.5 speed for catch up. I don't know that see, I don't know for certain that he has the rules of criminal procedure, but I'm 99% sure he does. Because I think it was on Thursday, the judge made a big deal putting it on the record telling him that she was providing him with her copy of the book with the Wisconsin criminal code in it. And the I don't have the book, but I have the Wisconsin annotated statutes open on my computer as a separate tab. And I have it open to the Wisconsin Statutes of Evidence, which is chapters 901 to 937. Okay, let's see. But either way, without getting bogged down in that, the point is the rules of evidence are in that book. The rules of procedure, just looking at the table of contents for the entire Wisconsin code, the criminal code is down towards the bottom, but it has crimes against people, crimes against property, the rules of evidence. It has the rules of procedure in there, and then general provisions, which is like where it describes what the maximum sentence is for a Class A felony or a Class B felony. So I pretty much guarantee the rules of criminal procedure
All right, then we
are
are back on.
in
The record
that
appearances
book.
are as they were before.
But he hasn't read the
State
rules
may
of
call
evidence.
next.
He
Well, actually, we'll bring the jury in.
We've
and then you may
determined
call us
he's
next
going
witness.
off of law
Doesn't
and
seem to like
order
to wanna do
instead
that
of
these
the
days.
actual law,
All right, have the jury brought back out, please.
which is why he objects to hearsay and irrelevancy for everything.
We still have yet to address the subject matter jurisdiction.
She has
Can be addressed at some
addressed
point.
the
Mr.
subject
Brooks,
matter
that's a frivolous
jurisdiction
matter. We've
over
already
and
addressed
over
that. I
and
direct your
over.
attention to the Beneby decision, United States versus Beneby, found at 654 F 3rd 753.
He
So I
brings
have
it up
addressed it.
every recess, but she has determined she has subject matter jurisdiction. He may not agree with her ruling. He can appeal it, but it's inappropriate to bring it up over and over and over.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Everything she does on the bench is a judicial determination. You don't need to ask.
The record stands, Mr. Brooks.
It's on the record, for the record, and let the record show.
Would a verified statement of particulars by affidavit be addressed, Your Honor?
No, because it's nonsense.
All right.
Ah, so I wasn't a squirrel. I was a squirrel on
Can we
crack
take an agreement, Your Honor?
at 2 speed. At least he is standing for the jury this morning. His suit's massive on him. Growing up here in Utah, I was always annoyed. I'm not one to comment on fashion by any means. I'm stuck in the 90s wearing my cargo pants and Columbia fleece
Thank you, everyone.
jacket.
Please be seated.
But I always
Hurry up with the
hated
statement called next
the
witness.
Mormon
Thank you.
cut
This day call
of
Officer
suits
Schneider.
that's 2 sizes too big. The deputy looks like he's ready to eat him.
Officer, if you would please
Not
make your
take
way
him
to the
out.
witness
He
stand.
thinks
When
he
you
is
get there, please
takeout.
remain standing, raise your right hand.
He's a big
and now Clerk
dude.
Teresa will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear
I'm
that the
surprised he
testimony
doesn't
you're
have
about to
any
give shall be the whole
interlocutory
truth and nothing but the
appeals
truth, so help you God?
I do.
or
Thank you. Please have a seat.
writs of habeas corpus or
First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Okay. My name is Sonia Schneider. Sonia is S-O-N-I-A.
That's a good
Schneider
theory,
is
Static.
S-C-H-N-E-I-D-E-R.
because the soft
Thank you.
sit
Go ahead,
bull
your witness.
is going to
Thank you.
help him more than
Officer Schneider,
knowing his
how are you
case.
currently employed?
I'm employed with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you worked in law enforcement?
A little over 3 years now.
And were you working on the date of November 20, 2021? I'm sorry, November 21, 2021.
I was.
What were your duties that day?
My duties were to secure the parade route and then provide traffic and pedestrian control.
This is quite a good looking
assigned to a
officer in your
specific
pocket
location?
right now, Static.
Yes, I was to be the intersection of East Main Street and.
I have
North
no
East
idea what they
And
have
was
in
that your
jail.
post throughout
See
the entire event?
if
It
it's
was.
Lexus,
Do you remember about
Westlaw.
what time you arrived at that
um,
location?
I doubt it's either of
I believe
those.
it was around 3 p.m.
I'm
Okay.
assuming the law
And when
library
you got there,
has
what were your
hard
responsibilities?
copies of
What did you do?
We
the case
closed
law,
down traffic.
but
From
my guess is
Buckley
the electronic
to,
is one of the
northeast
cheapo
and
alternatives,
put up
which is what I
barricades.
have.
Okay. And were you dressed in a police uniform
I
that
think
day?
the one I have
I
is
was
called
dressed as I am
Case
right now.
Text or
Did you
something
also
like
have on
that.
a fluorescent vest?
I did.
Okay. And that lettering on that vest read police?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, hello, Darlene. It's got to be late at night there in
At some point
Australia,
during the
isn't it?
parade,
I'm-
was your attention drawn
I
to a
appreciate you
vehicle
being here.
described as a red SUV?
It
And
was.
here it's hit or miss
How
having
was your
cameras in
attention drawn to that
courtrooms.
vehicle?
Well,
This
initially
one,
we
there's
heard
so
a
many
call come
victims, they
out in
can't
the
fit
area
them in
from
the
Park,
courtroom,
about
so
potential
cameras
man-made
just make
fights.
sense.
And then shortly after, I heard radio traffic about a vehicle going through the barricades or past the barricades.
What action, if any, did you take?
I was standing next to Officer Buttrin. He began
was
to
the
move
previous
forward,
witness.
And as I observed the red SUV coming towards Officer Buttrin and not stopping, I ran forward to also try to intercept the vehicle.
What did you do?
I'm a night owl, so
I
2:46 is
positioned
about
myself
when
right in
I'd
front of the
usually
SUV
be
for about a
wrapping up
moment,
a live stream if it weren't
and tried to
determined
direct
by
the
court
vehicle off
hours.
to Buckley, which would be to the right of the roadway.
Okay. And you said you positioned yourself right in front of.
We
the
had a
vehicle,
New
is that right?
Zealander in here last week,
So,
Ms. Starlight.
did you go out into the roadway itself?
I stood directly in the path of the SUV, which
Okay.
was the entire right lane. Or
US
north
is
side
unique,
of the
but
street.
it
Okay.
is also, though,
And,
hit or miss, because most federal
Did
courts
you
don't allow
say
cameras
anything
at
or
all.
gesture in any fashion to the vehicle?
I was just gesturing with my hands to try to get the driver to observe me in the street.
All right. Do you remember saying anything?
Sorry,
Yes.
just for the record, the witness has put both of her hands up with the palms facing out about between waist high and chest high in a stop motion.
They've got to get her
Do you remember
actions
saying
on the
anything?
record.
I don't recall saying anything.
Judge is great.
Now, you said your intention was to try and direct the vehicle off onto Buckley Street.
It was.
Was that a possibility from where the vehicle was located when you first saw it?
It was. The vehicle had time to slow down and make that turn.
Okay. And
He's got a disagreeing
you,
look on his face to
you were
that
facing
statement.
the vehicle head on, correct?
I believe, if not exactly head on, at least, to the side where most of the front of my body would be facing it.
Okay. So you could see it coming, in other words.
Very clearly.
And you could see, because you were able to face the vehicle head on, you were able to see that at some point you needed to step out of the way so you yourself are not struck. Is that fair to say?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Sustained, please rephrase.
Wow.
As you stood in the middle of the road.
Wow.
Facing the vehicle.
He got a
you stay in
proper
that
objection in.
position.
I did not. I was very concerned the car was going to hit me.
So what did you do?
I jumped out of the way.
Did you make any efforts to interact with the vehicle in any way?
I believe that I had like hit out at the car.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the car?
I was.
What did you observe about the driver of the car?
It looked to be an African-American male with brown eyes and brown hair.
Amazingly,
driver
and
of
I
the
thought he did
SUV
object to hearsay to her
react to your presence in
observation
any
of
way?
him, since
When
That's
I
what he's been
observed the
doing.
driver, he had no expression on his face and he was looking straight ahead as if he was looking straight through me.
And that never changed?
No,
Did the driver of the SUV follow your direction and
unless
leave
it's a
the parade route
24-hour
abruptly?
clock, then it's only once, John.
no, he did not. As a matter of fact, he appeared to speed up.
Are you able to estimate
You've
speed
got to
at this
use that
location?
military time, knowing your background.
I would estimate the speed to be anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour.
When the parade's
Were
going
you able
1
to
or
see
2
how many
miles an
people were
hour.
inside the SUV as it went by you?
I couldn't see the back seat clearly, but I observed only one person in the front of the vehicle.
Okay. And that was the driver, correct?
Correct,
That you just described for us earlier.
correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you an item that's been marked and received as Exhibit 17, and we'll put it up on the screen in front of you first so you can take a look at it, see if you recognize it.
I won't rag on him for taking precautions.
So for the record, we
But
played about the first 5 seconds or 6 seconds.
the
of
judge did
video. Do you
state
recognize
on
this video,
Friday
Officer Schneider?
He tested
do.
negative.
Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes,
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of your actions on that day?
yes.
I do have suspicions that he is
permission to
wearing the
publish
mask,
17,
though,
Your Honor?
to
Permission granted.
obscure his identity when
So
witnesses
if you
are
could
asked
please
to
point out for the
identify
jury
him.
your location in Exhibit 17. You can circle on the screen if you wanted to touch screen.
This is me.
All right, this is
And
the
next
same
to you,
exhibit we
that's
saw
Officer-
with the
That's Officer
previous
Buttran.
witness with Officer
At this
Buttran.
point, what are you and Officer Buttran doing?
We were, again, providing that traffic and pedestrian control for the intersection.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play this clip. It's 37 seconds long. and
I
we'll just
couldn't
play it
comment,
through and then we can
Darlene.
stop and ask
We've
questions
joked
if we need
that
to, okay?
Mr. Brooks's entire legal education is law and order. My entire knowledge of the Australian legal system is from the show Rake, which is highly amusing, but I'm sure it's about as accurate as Law and Order. I don't know if he has any unique witnesses. He was required to turn in his witness list first thing this morning, which technically he was supposed to last Monday at the start of jury selection,
Officer Schneider, is that
but the
consistent
judge
with your
granted
recollection
him
of
an
the events?
It
extension.
is.
I saw in Exhibit 17 at one point you appeared to leave your post on the south side of the road and run into the road. Is that what happened?
I've never understood the
And the vehicle
obsession
went
with
past
Black's
you
Law
then?
Dictionary,
Did.
since most laws have a definitions
The
section in them.
excuse me, at that point,
I don't know,
Officer Schneider, did you hear
see,
the
if
vehicle
his-
honking its horn at
If
all?
it'll be
I never heard any honking.
more of a
Never at
train
any
wreck
point.
Never at any point.
watching his case in
I'd
chief
also
as
like to
opposed
show
to
exhibit
cross
number 18, so same
examinations.
thing, we're going to preview it for you first before we show it for the jury, okay?
The second edition that they quote is
So for the
definitely
record,
outdated
we've
static.
shown, about the first 2 or 3 seconds of that.
But the thing
clip
is,
to Officer Schneider.
like I said,
Officer
the
Schneider,
laws
is
have
exhibit
a
18 a true and accurate
definition
representation of your
statement or
actions
section,
involving the red SUV
whereas
on
the state
11/21 of
legislature
21.
It
has
is.
never
Move to admit
enacted
information
Black's
to
Law
publish 18.
Dictionary as a law. So it's just a reference material. It's
What's
not
the
law.
relevancy of the video?
The objection is noted, it's overruled, and exhibit 18 is received, permission. to
I'm
close
waiting
is
for him
granted.
to bring UCC into this, which I don't understand why they do, because they object to statutes and codes and
one second.
UCC,
Can you-
Uniform
see the comment in the
Commercial
corner? Can you
Code,
close that? Noted. Thank you. So for the record, this
which
clip
is
is 11
state law,
seconds in
by the
length.
way.
Officer Schneider, can you see yourself in this video at this point?
They
Yes.
claim
Can you
it's
please circle
required
yourself
by
so
the
that Jerry knows
Supreme
what to
Court,
watch for?
the UCC,
Right.
Okay. And please
even
clear
though
the
it's
screen. All right, we're
state
gonna play
law.
this video in its entirety.
just the same as
Now.
the traffic laws are.
Oh my God! What the? What is this? Come here! Come here!
I think this is
Again, is that the moment when you ran
Spectator
up to the
vehicle.
SUV and tried to stop it?
It was.
or spectator video, not vehicle.
After the SUV had gone by you,
I talk real
at some
good.
point, were you aware that individuals further down to your west had been struck by the SUV?
Yeah, there was what I would call screaming on the radio.
Police radio,
Correct.
okay. And
Yes, John.
you
Not
didn't see
every
the SUV
article
actually strike anybody,
of the
correct?
I
UCC
did
is
not see
adopted in every
When you
state.
heard the screaming and heard of the report
In
of
most states, though, it is
problems to your
mostly
west, what
complete.
did you do?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
What she did is not
Um,
hearsay.
Initially, I was just trying to, I didn't know if there was going to be another vehicle coming because we didn't know. what
I
was
know I
going
sound
on.
like a
So I
broken
was trying to
record
get people
here,
out of the
but
roadway, and as soon as I heard the screaming on the
he's
radio,
making me do it.
I began making my way downtown.
Did you encounter any people with injuries?
I did. I was stopped by numerous people who said that their children
Yes.
had potentially been nicked. The
Wisconsin
worst
or
one was
Louisiana
a
with their
adolescent
civil
female
law
that was laying in the road with her family around her.
is
Do you
very
know the
different.
First name of that adolescent female?
Jesselyn.
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, your answer may have been blocked by Mr. Brooks' objections, but please repeat it.
Objection, I do not consent to that name, nor am I that person.
Noted. You may answer.
Jesselyn.
Your
Do you
name
know
is
which
completely
group or
irrelevant.
unit in the parade she was with?
Your
She
body
was
has
in a
been
dance squad.
identified.
Did you attempt
As
to
the
render aid to
perpetrator.
Jesselyn?
I did.
Were her injuries significant?
They were.
At some point, did you go further westbound on Main Street and try and tend to more individuals?
I walked towards the direction of Mountaintop Coffee, and I was directed to stand guard over one of the deceased.
Do you know the name of that person?
I believed it was Virginia, but I learned later that she was misidentified.
Okay. Who was it that you were standing guard over?
I
Objection, hearsay.
It's not
Overruled.
hearsay.
never inquired the true name of the individual.
Virginia was one of the
Could you
deceased.
tell which
She was
group or
the
unit in the parade
leader
that
of the
deceased
dancing
person was
grannies.
associated with?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
She was one of the dancing grannies.
And
I
what
was
would be the
about to
purpose in having you
speculate.
stand by with a person who had suffered fatal injuries?
To preserve the scene and relieve a community service officer who was standing there initially.
C has confirmed
Thank you,
Australia
Officer
has
Schneider. I don't have any
self-representation.
questions beyond that.
Thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Officer Schneider. It would be fair to say.
I
from
wouldn't
the
have
video
known that,
footage was
see.
shown that you were standing directly next to Officer Butchern. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For any reason, would you have, being that you were so close next to him, not heard the same things that he heard?
That,
I think that calls for
Grounds.
that's,
Grounds.
Calls
she
for
said, calls for
speculation.
speculation. She can't speculate what he heard.
It's sustained. Next question.
There's so much
How long
commotion
before you saw the
that your
approaching
ears
vehicle?
pick out certain things. You're not going to hear, or at least
I
comprehend
heard
hearing
radio
every
traffic about
little
it,
thing.
going past the barricades, and I would say it was a couple seconds later that we saw it coming down the street.
Did you observe anyone being struck at that time?
I did not.
Did you observe anyone being struck after the vehicle passed you?
I did not.
But they just magically fell down.
Would it be
It
fair to
wasn't the
say from the
vehicle
video
that
footage
caused
that was
it.
shown that the vehicle passed you in maybe a second, if that?
A second to 2 seconds. Yes.
That's so vague. Did it
Do you
pass
think that
you
would be
in about a
enough time to
second?
get a
What?
clear description of who was driving the vehicle?
Yes, I do.
And why do you believe that?
Because she saw
Because I
you.
saw the driver very clearly.
You saw the driver very clearly.
She saw
in
the
1 second.
traveler.
Yes, sir.
And she's answering to the
And
jury
Do
too,
you recall if
just
the
like the
driver had hair?
previous.
I do.
Do you recall if the driver was wearing a hat?
I don't recall that.
That would be
Do you
prejudicial
recall anything
static.
that the driver may have been wearing?
He's going to have to get
No, I
used to
don't.
it, though.
Do you recall seeing anyone in the back seat?
She
I
already
couldn't see the
stated.
back seat from my position
Why
Oh.
could you not see the back seat?
because there's front seats in the way.
Were there any tinting to the vehicle that you saw?
Not that I saw.
So you saw no tinted windows
She
at all on the
she
vehicle?
said, asked and
I
answered.
do not recall seeing tinted windows.
He, for all you sports fans,
Would it be fair
he's
to say
in the
from
right
video that
state
there
for
was,
this,
a
'cause he
barricade set up at,
loves
the
badgering.
cross street of Buckley?
Yes.
Would it be also fair to say that you couldn't turn down
That's it.
Buckley Street
This
because
is
of
his-
the barricade?
This is his last
The street
fun
was
before
barricaded.
life in
Could
prison.
you make a turn down the street that was barricaded?
You could have stopped. You could
make a
have
turn,
stopped.
but it was barricaded.
How can you
The
make
ability
a
to
turn
turn
on a
off the
barricaded
street is irrelevant.
How would
You
you be able to
could
do that?
have stopped.
If a vehicle were to slow down, the barricade could be moved.
So a vehicle would actually have to stop and then make the turn.
But you didn't
That's correct.
stop. But you could have.
Were there any law enforcement officers posted at the barricade?
On that side of the street near Buckley, we had a reserve officer, I believe.
Do you recall if any one of those officers or officer attempted to stop the vehicle?
I couldn't tell you.
She
about that.
did, and Officer Buttrin did.
Was there any report of the officer that was standing at that barricade to stop the vehicle?
Again, I couldn't tell you about that.
So to the best of your knowledge, only you and Officer Buttrin attempted to stop the vehicle?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
At that
And there were
point.
other officers present?
The other individual who was present is not a sworn patrol officer.
Were they law enforcement?
Not a sworn
No,
patrol
they are considered a
officer.
reserve officer.
Were they wearing any gear that may have identified them as an officer?
I don't recall what that officer or that reserve officer was wearing.
Can we show exit 17 again? Or exhibit 17?
You want it published or just shown to the witness?
I want it shown to the witness.
Permission granted.
That's probably smarter of him not showing the jury again.
Actually, can we show it to the whole court?
Permission granted, it's been
Well,
received.
in that case, it wasn't smart of him.
Well, before you play it, can you pause it? Before you play it,
I'm assuming he's just taking notes.
would it be fair to say that
I couldn't say for sure
Like
what
that.
he's writing, but
intersection that has
I'd have a
red
list
light
of
facing
questions
towards the camera,
I want to
that
go
there
through
is,
and
in fact, someone who appears to be
Writing
law
a
enforcement
short
standing right there?
sort of yes, no, crossing off that I've written it.
Sustained,
Can you
rephrase.
would it be fair to say that someone standing at that intersection that appears to be wearing the same police vest attire that you are wearing?
Objection vague. I think-
Grounds.
She said vague.
Your Honor, Mr. Brooks can use the touch screen on his monitor as well, correct?
Correct. I'm gonna overrule the objection. I think what he was asking is clear enough, so you may answer.
There is an individual on the Buckley side of the intersection wearing a high-res traffic vest.
It is kind
Is
of
it
difficult to
similar
see
in
because
any way
it's
to the
kind
vest
of
that you are wearing?
twilight.
It appears to be so, yes.
So would it be fair to say that
It would not be fair to say.
the appearance of them wearing the same attire as you, that they would be easily identified as law enforcement?
This only matters if you were entering the parade route at this intersection. You're already in.
I would go so far as to say that they would be at least highly visible to people.
I still don't
Yes.
understand how he thinks any of
Would
this is
someone
helping
who's
him.
not in the law enforcement field possibly for any reason mistake them as law enforcement?
That's
Possibly,
speculation.
yes.
Can you play it just for just a couple of seconds so we can get a clear look at the individual that I'm referring to?
Exactly how many seconds, Mr. Brooks?
I don't consent to being called that name.
We already decided
Two.
last week that
Maybe
we'd
2 or 3
die.
seconds.
And I don't drink anyway, so you guys would die.
Then pause at the
I'd be
3-second mark,
drinking
Your Honor.
water.
Thank you.
Can you go back a second?
Judge, it's not possible to jump back in
1 second.
1 second increments.
Go
We
back
need
to the beginning, please.
Right there.
Ask your question.
And he's drawing on the touch screen to
Do you know
indicate
that individual right there?
I don't recall who that
a
was,
dark
so.
spot
Did you see them
on a
at
video.
any time attempt to stop the vehicle or redirect the vehicle?
I did not observe that myself.
How does this help you?
You can
At
tell
least
the-
2 people at this point tried to stop you. Other officers have testified to trying to stop you at the beginning of the parade route at the
You're
staging
okay.
area.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Whether
Moving
one
on.
person
can you?
did or
put up
didn't
exhibit 18
doesn't help you.
for the court?
You just want this presented, not played at this moment? Just confirming with you.
I'm probably gonna play it too
We'll get it up first.
for the entire court.
I think you can do it frame by frame, but it is
For the record,
difficult
exhibit
to
18
adjust
is
1 second at a
on the
time.
screens. Do you want it played, Mr. Brooks? Do you have a question at this
Yeah,
point?
I want it played, Your Honor, if I may.
The whole thing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, permission granted.
This doesn't help
Pause it right there.
you. You said play the whole
Would it be
thing.
fair to say that that was just a horn that was heard?
I heard, oh my
No.
God.
You don't hear a horn.
I do not hear a horn.
Can we start that from the beginning?
For the record, Mr. Brooks.
When did you want it paused?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, Your Honor, nor do I identify by
That's
that.
The
irrelevant.
defendant has asked the video to be stopped. It was stopped at 4 seconds in.
I think that's
He's
definitely
requested
what
that
he was
replayed.
trying to
Are you going
do
to have the whole
last
thing
week when
replayed, or
he
do you want it
was
stopped
cross-examining
again
his
for 4 seconds?
ex, who was the first victim
Maybe around this same.
this
I'll wait till
day.
you say stop then.
Okay.
We'll make a
I
record
think
of it.
generally when people do represent themselves, a big part of it is about power.
Pause it. Would it be fair to say that that was not just a horn?
I don't hear a horn. I hear,
was
oh
heard
my
on his video.
God. What the
I will stick with my original answer on that.
ask? Once again, that's
So
asked
your
and
original
answered.
answer would be that you did not just hear a horn
Asked and answered. You're
on this
badgering.
video that was being played.
Like I said, he's in Wisconsin. The University of Wisconsin mascot is the
For total
Badger.
record,
He's
it was
in the
stopped at 6
appropriate
seconds.
state here. He's in the appropriate plaintiff, I should say.
So would it be any reason that anyone else would have heard a horn?
Objection.
That
Speculation.
is my
Sustained.
speculation. See,
Sustained
I
calls
don't
for
know for
speculation
sure
on the part
it
of the
was
chair.
the R word. I don't know. I don't actually know the age of consent in Wisconsin. It's
Did
possible
you
she was
at any
16
time
at the
get a
time
chance to read the
of
report
that
by Officer
incident,
Butcher, who was standing right next to you during this event?
but I'm guessing it
I
was
did not read his report.
statutory.
Did you have any conversation with him about what he may have observed or heard that evening?
It's not
Can you
necessarily
clarify what
hearsay
you mean?
here.
Did you
Asking if
have any
they
conversation
did have a
with
conversation
Officer
isn't
Butcher
hearsay.
about what he may have
Asking what
observed
he
or
said.
heard on that evening?
Okay, that now it is hearsay
I believe
because
that the
the
evening,
other officer can
at
testify
later after
what he observed.
everything had calmed down, we had talked for a little bit.
Did he state to you that he had heard a horn beeping at any time during your conversation?
Objection, hearsay, move to strike
Grounds.
question.
Grounds.
Grounds hearsay.
Oh. Sustained.
She said
Calls for
hearsay.
Hearsay.
Do you recall what the conversation was about when you talked that evening?
I can't recall specifics, no.
Did you in any way talk about what had happened?
One way or another,
that
I said
evening at
last
the
week,
parade?
I had a. I didn't
We,
realize it was possible, but finding out
Yeah, it
about
would be about
the
the parade, but I
child
can't, again, tell
gave
you
me an even
specifics of what we
lower
talked
opinion
about.
of him
You don't
than I
recall?
already had.
I've already answered that.
But you're sure that you had some talks about what you may have seen?
Asked and
Repetitive.
answered.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained. Next question, please.
Just so we're clear for the record,
If you're saying just so we're clear, that means it's already been answered.
from your recollection, would it be fair to say that Officer Butcher saw the approaching vehicle before you did?
She can't know what Officer
Grounds.
Butrin saw.
Sustained. It calls for speculation.
Besides
Report
which,
is
Officer
witness. Next
Butrin
question.
already
At what point
testified
did
about
you
what he
see the
saw.
vehicle? Once it was past Officer Butcher or before it had passed him?
I saw the vehicle coming from the White Rock location, so it was before the vehicle had even approached Officer Buttrin's location.
Any reason why you didn't move to attempt to stop the vehicle when Officer Butcher did?
Yes, we oftentimes in our line of work have people, meaning no ill will, just disregard police barricades and other things. So initially, I
That's
didn't
not
know if
responsive, that
the
first
vehicle was
part.
being driven by somebody that was just simply distracted or lost or senile. I had no idea.
Okay, that's non-responsive.
So it would be fair to say that at the time you had
I would have objected.
no idea what was going on with the vehicle and why it was there.
She just said. Although I guess
At the
asked
time, what I
and
knew
answered.
was
She
that
answered,
someone
but
had
it wasn't
radioed
asked.
that a car had disregarded our barricades to keep the parade route closed off.
And you heard this on the radio, correct?
On police radio, yes.
So did you hear a car or did you hear an SUV?
The
I don't
radio
recall
said
the exact
red
words that were
SUV.
used. It was a vehicle.
Would it be fair to say that you just said that you heard a car over the radio?
She just answered that. She
I don't
doesn't
recall the
recall.
exact words.
But she can
Would it be fair to
identify
say that
what she saw
it
drive
is
past at a high rate of
extremely
speed.
hard to compare a car with an SUV?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
This is ridiculous.
Would you ever mistake a car in an SUV?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative.
This is ridiculous.
Overruled. She may answer.
I think I'm pretty good at knowing the difference.
I mean, nowadays with
So when you
crossovers,
heard the radio
there is
call,
some overlap.
were you expecting a car or SUV?
Who cares?
I was expecting a vehicle, red in color, to be coming my
Who
direction.
cares
Would
what
it
she
be
was
fair to say that
expecting?
you
She observed
before
a
didn't
red
state the
Ford
color of the
Escape.
vehicle that you were expecting?
She said she heard red vehicle over the radio.
I think the question's vague, Your Honor, as
Objection,
to
grounds.
when she may or may
Grounds.
not.
Mr. Brooks,
She's
hold
saying
on,
the
let her
grounds.
state the
Give her a
objection.
chance.
Question's vague as to when she may or may not have indicated the color of the car.
I
Your Honor.
think so,
Grounds.
see. And one of the officers did
I'll
fire
sustain
3
the objection.
rounds
Please
that
rephrase.
struck the vehicle,
It's
but not
sustained as to
him,
the form of the question.
which was
At any time
completely
during the radio
100%
report,
allowed
was
shooting.
there any report of the color of the vehicle?
Yes,
as you said,
red.
in
She's
the report that
answered.
you heard over the radio?
She's answered red.
The exact color of the vehicle over the radio, I do not recall hearing. I know that I saw a red SUV coming from White Rock.
Besides, what she heard over the
Would it be fair
radio
to say that you heard the radio call
is
before you
irrelevant
saw the
because
vehicle?
she can testify what she saw.
Absolutely, I heard it before.
There was
I saw
one
it.
vehicle traveling at a high rate of
So would it be
speed.
fair to say that you couldn't have known what the color of the vehicle would be?
How does
and
this
what
help
vehicle is
you?
being referred to?
There was only one vehicle on the parade route, from what I saw.
Generally, it would be recorded.
Were there any radio reports that the vehicle had struck anyone at that time that you heard?
No, I didn't hear anyone say that the vehicle had struck anyone.
At that point,
Was there any reports
but it was
at that
after
time over the radio
passed
that you
her
heard
that-
of a description of who may
that
have been
he hit
driving the
people.
vehicle?
No, I don't recall.
The
a
radio did
description
say
coming out over
black
the radio
male.
prior to me seeing the vehicle come across my path.
So would it be fair to say that the radio report was pretty vague?
That's irrelevant.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
She said
Sustained.
argumentative. They must have said grounds on
Were there
Law and
any
Order
reports
this
that you
weekend.
know of, rather by radio or from people who were present in your area that you were, that they may have heard honking from the vehicle?
How
that
would she
approached?
know what other people hear?
Objection, speculation.
Grounds.
Overruled. The way it was phrased, he asked if she had any information, so she may answer.
I don't have any information about honking.
Exactly, John. Replay the video. Let's hear the "Oh my God."
Can you
that's
recall
not
about what time you saw
mocking
the
my tone.
approaching
That's
vehicle?
me trying to replicate the
know
tone
the
of the
exact
video.
Time, no.
Were you injured in any way by the vehicle?
I think
I was
Sam
not injured.
Watterson in Grace and Frankie is a better lawyer than this guy.
So it'd be fair to say that you haven't filed a claim in this matter, correct?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Overruled.
Irrelevant.
She may answer.
She said the
I have
grounds.
not filed a claim for this.
So it would be also fair to state that you are not an injured party in this matter, correct?
Objection, asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Could you state for the record who subpoenaed you to
ready.
testify in this matter today?
The Waukesha
state?
prosecutors.
And when you say the state, who are you referring to exactly?
The state of Wisconsin.
The state of Wisconsin?
To the best of your knowledge, being in law enforcement for some time, have you ever had any interaction with the state whatsoever?
God, shut
Objection,
him
irrelevant.
down.
Vague.
Grounds.
Sustained. Execution.
Besides, as the judge explained
Did
to him
you
last week,
physically talk to
they
the
don't
state
have
about
to state the
testifying?
grounds.
Objection.
She can just
Grounds.
Vague and irrelevant.
uphold
Grounds.
the. Okay.
Do you mean to ask
He
her?
said
if
the-
she
she
spoke
said
with
the
DA's
grounds.
office?
Did she speak to the plaintiff?
Ah,
Sustained.
he's driving me nuts.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Have you read the complaint in this matter? To your recollection?
I've watched Drake several
I
times.
have,
It's just
I believe I've skimmed it over. I haven't read it in its
the sarcastic jerk in me
Would it be any reason why you
appreciates
didn't read the complaint in its entirety?
Cleaver Green.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Did you have any idea that you may be called to testify in this matter?
As a witness, you
I
can generally
did see it as a
assume
possibility, yes.
that it's a possibility.
So it'd be fair to say that if you knew that it was a possibility that you may be called to testify, would it be fair to say that it would be best to acquire all the knowledge that you can acquire before testifying?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware that all police departments are funded by the state of Wisconsin?
Objection irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If you weren't testifying here this morning, would you be on duty?
Yes, I would be.
Is that why you came in uniform?
Yes, it is.
So it'd be fair to say that right now you're on the clock,
She just said.
Yes, I am.
being paid by whom?
By the city of Waukesha.
Is the city of Waukesha in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes, it is.
And who funds the Waukesha Police Department?
The city of Waukesha.
Grounds.
Sustained.
The thing is, I doubt the state of Wisconsin
During
does
your
fund
attempt to stop the
the
vehicle,
Waukesha Police
do you recall
Department.
the vehicle
There may have been some
trying to strike
state
anyone?
patrollers there, but generally it's the city
I
through
did
its
not
own
see
property
the
taxes
vehicle
or
deviating in
city
any way,
taxes
so.
that funds
Do you
their
recall it
police
trying to
department.
strike anyone?
I think it's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
By you saying that you didn't see the vehicle deviate.
And she wouldn't be
can you
testifying to what she saw in
clarify
the
for record
complaint.
what that means
She
in
testifies to
your
what she
opinion?
saw at the parade.
When I saw the vehicle coming towards my direction, it was driving in a straight line.
So
Others saw
would
it
it be
swerve
fair to say
around
that that
cars,
does not
though.
clarify what you mean by deviate?
Objection.
It's argumentative. Sustained.
To the best,
This trial is
As
going to
far
go
as you
till
recall.
Christmas.
you didn't see or hear that the vehicle has struck anyone. That'd be fair to say?
That's been asked and answered, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Asked and
Sustained.
answered.
Do you know of any cross streets before you attempted to stop the vehicle that may have been barricaded?
We had barricades up in the area of White Rock Avenue. I wasn't up there at any point in time, so I couldn't give you the exact location.
I'm
of every
told
barricade.
Wyoming doesn't exist either,
But you do know
which is
that there
news to
were,
me since the
previous
majority of my
barricades throughout
vacations during my
the right route,
lifetime
that'd
have
be
been
fair
in
to say.
Wyoming.
Yes, we needed to secure it.
Do you know of any attempts to stop the vehicle before it came to the area that you were in?
Well, I
How-
personally
how would she
observed
know?
Officer Buttryn attempt to stop the vehicle.
How would
Do you
she
of
know
any
what happened
attempts
at
to stop
other
the vehicle before
intersections?
the vehicle approached your area?
Other officers have testified
Based
to that
on
already.
the radio traffic, I heard it sounded like officers had attempted at that time, but I didn't see it, so I
The
couldn't say for certain.
detective who started
So
the
it's fair to
morning
say
on his
that you don't
cross-examination tried to stop you
Grounds.
before
Your Honor, it's a
Grounds.
misstatement of her testimony.
Grounds.
Sustain it,
Misstatement of
mischaracterized
the-
as the testimony.
Just stop. And this is real inconsiderate of him. I had actually planned, I don't even know if it is going to be fully streamed. I had planned to do the Danny Masterson trial, but when he announced he was going soft sit, Darrell Brooks, the world just stopped. So I might have to
So
do
to
like
the
a
best of
nightly
your knowledge,
recap of the highlights of the Masterson
Officer
trial.
Buttrin
But
was the
this
first
just
person that
took
you
precedence.
observed attempting to stop the vehicle,
Asked and
That's
answered.
correct.
and then yourself,
That is correct.
with no injuries.
She stated
Can you clarify,
she
please?
wasn't struck.
You, Officer Buttrin, or you were not injured in your attempt to stop the vehicle.
I believe that's correct.
You believe that was correct?
I don't
You
recall
asked her
Buttrin
about
complaining
Officer
of any
Buttrin.
injuries, so I couldn't say for certain.
She can
Well, you
answer for
yourself-
certain about
I've
herself.
already answered that.
Don't be argumentative. Let the prosecution object. You can answer, no, I wasn't. Although it has been asked and answered multiple times.
You stated that you skimmed through the complaint for this matter. Would that be fair to say?
Objection asked and answered. We need to move on to a new topic, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Asked
Sustained,
and
asked
answered.
Need a new topic,
What-
Mr. Brooks, under 90611. I'm directing you to move on.
About time, Judge.
I'm just trying to find out what would be the reason not to read the whole complaint. That's all.
How is that relevant?
So, grounds.
There's no
Argumentative.
question.
I guess if the jury dies of old age waiting for him, it could be grounds for a
Did you hear
mistrial.
any
Except he'd also
incident
die
at
of old
Frank
age,
Park?
so.
Objection asked and answered.
I didn't ask this witness.
Overruled, she may answer.
I think he didn't ask her
I
yet.
did answer that earlier in my testimony.
Okay, don't stop. The prosecution
I heard
asked you, I think.
that there was a man knife call, is how it came out, potentially in Frame Park.
At any point that evening, did you follow up on that report?
She was kind of busy with other stuff.
I did not.
Do you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know if, are you aware of any officer following up on that report?
She's not a supervisor, so why would she?
The officers that were dispatched
Even
to
know.
that call, of which I don't recall who they were, would have been in charge of that.
Grounds are what's
Did
left
you learn
over
any-
from making
Any
coffee,
information about
right,
a knife
Static?
found?
I did not.
And he's clearly had too much coffee.
To the best of your knowledge, do you recall any domestic dispute coming over the radio?
What point in time?
I wouldn't know what he's
Um,
receiving
The evening
for lunch in the
during the parade,
courthouse.
November 21st.
It very well could be better than jail food. Of course, if he
I
hadn't
don't
fired his
recall
attorneys,
specifically
you know, they
that
could be
the terms domestic being used.
giving
over
him
you and I.
McDonald's
No.
potentially, or, you know, bringing him in food. Because he's probably being brought back to his cell. Well, I know he is. But his lawyers could
To the best
join
of your knowledge,
him
do you
back there
recall,
to continue
uh,
strategizing.
a vehicle
but
being found?
He
on
doesn't
Maple
have
Street?
lawyers.
Yes, I do recall.
I know, Steve.
Did you respond?
But
there
I'll answer
directly, or
smart ass
do you know if-
questions. Sometimes.
Well, let me take that back. Did you respond there directly?
No, I did not.
I think she pretty much responded to her direct
Do you
area.
recall what that
She
report,
already said she
uh,
stood guard over
was
one
saying
of the
over the radio?
deceased dancing grannies.
Objection vague.
Grounds?
Vague.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It's also beyond the scope of the direct exam. Unless you have information.
If he
she
wants
was
to
involved
move
in that.
outside of
Mr. Brooks,
the
move on.
information that was discussed on the direct, he has to call her back and ask her in his own direct examination. That's what beyond the scope is.
And what would you estimate the speed was of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Objection asked and answered.
I don't know that he asked,
Sustained.
though.
I don't recall asking this.
It was asked on direct. I don't know that he asked. Oh, come on, internet.
This witness has answered about speed multiple times, but if you want her to say it again, overruled. You may answer.
It doesn't help
I
him.
said approximately 30 to 40 miles.
It does not help him having her say 30 to 40 miles an hour again.
To the best
You
of your
want to
knowledge,
minimize.
would there be any reason why
It could be.
an officer standing right next to you would not?
Sovereign
Estimated at
citizens
that
are
speed.
often.
Objection argumentative.
Grounds?
It's argumentative and it calls for speculation
Yeah.
on the part of this witness, so it's sustained.
Yeah. Sovereign citizens are harsh
Do you
towards
know of
women
any
frequently,
Officers that was in your
especially
vicinity
Moorish sovereign citizens. I don't know if
that
he's
gave a speed
a
estimate of
generic
the vehicle
sovereign
you attempted
citizen
to
or if
stop?
he ascribes
Objection
to
irrelevant.
Grounds?
Sustained.
something like Moorish or free man on the land or what.
No more further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly, Officer Schneider, on cross-examination, you told Mr. Brooks that you saw the driver of the vehicle quite clearly. Do you remember
Unfortunately,
that?
he can't wear a fez
Since
in
being called
court.
that name, and I would respectfully ask not to be identified with an unknown individual.
Your objection is noted. It's
Irrelevant.
overruled. Go ahead. Hang on.
It
You
has
see
nothing to
driver
do
of
with the
red SUV
testimony
in the courtroom here
anyway.
Today, Officer Schneider.
I do.
Objection, hearsay.
It's not
Overruled.
hearsay,
She
it's
may
a direct
answer.
I'd ask
observation.
Mr. Brooks be directed to remove his mask so that Officer Schneider can identify him, please.
Objection, I never heard an answer to the question.
It has not been answered. Mr. Brooks, please remove your mask. Thank you.
Officer Schneider, is the driver of the red SUV that you've just described for this jury present in this courtroom today?
Objection,
Yes.
hearsay.
Can you please point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
I'm guessing this prosecutor's
He's
at the
seated over here
very
at the
top of
table
the
wearing
county
a
pay
gray
scale.
suit.
She might be the
That's
highest
the man
paid
you saw
county
driving the red
employee.
SUV as it sped past you?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
She has nearly 30 years experience.
On the issue of identification only, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. You
The scope
did
on
state
recross is limited to what was done on
that you saw
redirect.
the driver of the vehicle and the driver had hair and you stated brown eyes and brown hair, correct?
That is what I said.
Which is what you had
You
at the
also
time.
stated that you can see somewhat what they was wearing by hat or
That's incorrect. I did not say that.
so you were able to see the driver of the vehicle's entire head.
It's a possibility
I
that
was
she
able
gets
to
job
see
offers.
hair, which is
I
what
bet
I've
she
said
does
previously.
get requests
Would it be fair
from
to say
Court
that
TV, Law and Crime, and those
the
to
alleged
do
defendant that you
interviews?
just identified on the record for the court does not have hair?
She's
You
not
shaved
going to
your
get
head.
the level of
Yes.
attention that Miss Vasquez did in the Johnny Depp trial, though,
Would it be fair to say that
because she at least quadrupled her
you have
salary
not
in that
seen the
trial.
alleged defendant shave his head?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
If you didn't shave your head on the scene, how would she have seen you shave it?
The act of.
I have not witnessed him actively
That-
shaving his head.
This is
So would it be
stupid.
fair to say that, to the best of your knowledge, you do not know, in fact, if the alleged defendant shaved his head?
Your hair changed in between.
I am looking at the individual who was driving the SUV and he now has a shaved head.
That doesn't answer the question.
It does. Next question.
I'm sure she got offers from other firms
And you stated eye color,
that
correct?
were in the millions
Yes,
per year.
Can you see the alleged defendant's eye color from where you are sitting?
I cannot.
You're not the alleged defendant.
No further.
You are the defendant.
All right,
You are
thank
alleged
You may step
to have
down.
committed these crimes. That makes you the defendant. Not alleged. There's nothing alleged about you being
She may.
defendant.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take our lunch break now. I have information that the lunch for the jurors will be up in about 10 minutes. So rather than start a witness, just to take a break around that time, we'll take our lunch now. It
That
will be
is
at
smart
least an hour,
On the judge's
maybe
part.
an hour and 15 minutes, but I'd ask the parties be back in an hour. And then also advise the jury and Mike and Pete what time I need them back. All right, thank you, everyone. I'll rise for the jury.
All right. And with that, it is 10:35 here in Utah, 11:35 in Wisconsin. I'm going to take my lunch break. So I'm going to stop this stream. I'll start a new stream for the afternoon. And I hope to see all of you back for the afternoon. I was in a rush late getting started this morning, but
All right,
I'll
thank you.
do my
We are in
best.
recess. Let's have the parties back at 12:35. We can address any issues outside the presence of the jury if need be. Otherwise, be prepared for your next witness from the state. Thank you, everyone.
All right, she'll be back 12:35. I'll do my best to be back at 12:30 starting the next stream. So I will see you guys then. Thanks for hanging out this morning.